Thanks so much for joining us tonight. This is MeWe Fairs for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest and many online. Today is our online awakening panel, and the theme today is wounds and lessons from our ancestors. There are 5 of us on the panel tonight. We are going to be sharing about just ourselves and our background, so you know who we are. We'll be sharing about the theme, and then we'll be taking questions from the audience. It's free to be here to listen and learn, and it's a small price to ask a question. There's information in the chat. I'll post there's information in the chat. I think you all got it. It's 20 to 28 sliding scale and $12 for BIPOC folks to ask a question of the panel. Oh yeah, let's have you get to know who everyone is first. So practitioners, let's go through and share about who we are first in general, and then we'll go through and talk about ancestors. So maybe let's go in the same order as before. I think it was Kai, DoveLight, Tammy, and Lisa. So go ahead, Kai, take a couple minutes and tell us about who you are and all that you do.
Okay. It's like, hey, everybody, I'm Kai. I'm a Hawaiian Kahuna, which is the Hawaiian version of a shaman. I've been working with my ancestors quite a long time. My specialty is actually removing negative energy from people, places, and things. As far as ancestors working with other people and helping helping them with their ancestors, is I actually walk people over to the other side and help them talk to their ancestors to try to get to the heart of whatever their issues are. And the primary thing that I do is I actually help them to get their ancestors to cross over. Because a lot of times what will happen is we carry things that we don't realize we are carrying. And it's because our ancestors are actually stuck on the other side because they're too afraid or they're not able to cross over. So I walk people over to the other side. We talk to their ancestors, get them to cross over. And then that burden is then released, not just from the person I'm working with, but from their entire family line. Because the person who's stuck actually they function like an anchor, like an energy anchor for the rest of the family. So if you can get that anchor to release, there's a lot of things that can happen. So that's why working with your ancestors and speaking with your ancestors and working with your ancestors is so important. And that's something that I've been doing for a while. And I'm happy to answer questions about it. And it's actually kind of fun having that ancestral connection because, I always like having more family around me. And a lot of us feel separated because we are not close to our family members. But when you call out for your ancestors, they are there for you all the time, every time. And that is valuable. So that's what we're trying to do tonight, is help you establish that connection.
Great. And I just want to give you a chance to, is there anything else general about your practice that you want to share with us of like how you practice or history being Kahuna or anything like that?
Well, I'm an energy healer, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a mentor. I do lots and lots of things. I've been doing this, like I said, a really long time. I mean, from the time I was a kid, I've been doing a lot of this stuff. So I pretty much covered the gamut of stuff that I can do. But mostly what I do is just kind of help people to see whatever they're doing. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? What is the purpose of this? And how do you get there? That's kind of what I do for the most part.
Great, great. Well, thanks so much. All right, DoveLight, you're up next.
Hello, everybody. My name is DoveLight, and I'm just a regular person, like you guys know already. Sometimes I cry, sometimes I laugh, sometimes I don't know how to represent myself, but I do love these topics. I do love spirituality. I am from the Great Spirit, like many of us are, like we all are. I was born in Peru. I have an indigenous ancestry from the Amazonians and the Indians. And I do shamanic healing practices. I do spiritual readings. I do past life regression. I work with Marcel Bogle Crystal One, which is a special technology that he gifted us to do extractions in the light energy field. Also, I'm working with cacao. I'm working with the Mayan elders in front of the sacred fire. I'm still learning. I'm still growing and still expanding. When I came to the North, I was very grateful to meet also my teachers who were from Lakota and Cheyenne and descendant. And I also I was not a natural born healer, but as many of us, I have to close my gift and to survive or to do that. So the process to re-encounter myself, to getting to know myself and to accept myself allows me to pass through all this wave of, okay, this is ancestral, this is from my past life, this is my inner child, this is my wounds and this and that. And what I discover the most about it, and I have to accept that as myself, and I genuinely love to help and to be of service. And because I have so many good teachers and people who taught me how to love and compassion, and I'm still learning. We all humans are in this lifetime to mastering love. It's that if I can help somebody back, why will not do it? And it doesn't have to be spirituality. It could be computers. It could be, I don't know, taking out somebody's dog or anything. And if I cannot do, I'll be honest. So what I do is I do spiritual readings, and usually I do work with the soul when I start connecting with my own soul and accepting that love. And when I hear people's voices, I can start getting into the soul frequency because it's very unique. Even if you sound the same, your soul, your blueprint, it's so unique because that's the gift for humanity, and that's the gift of your soul. And I start getting information like that. It's not like randomly starting to know your life and read your thoughts. That doesn't work like that. If it's for my highest good to know. If it's for your highest good to know. But that's how I work spiritually, through working with the readings and seeing insights. And I can, with the divine help, and when I'm allowed to do so, I can get into the energy fields and know if it's coming from an ancestral or if it's coming from a past life or inner child. Just like what I have passed through, in a way, I was kind of trained to, when I'm ready, to help others, and I'm still learning. That's so funny. I do love ancestral healing. That's one of my favorite topics in the whole universe, and we are very grateful to have such a diverse perspectives on this, because we are all different. We are the rainbow tribe. And you don't have to have a relationship with your ancestors. I didn't have one. I didn't even like my grandma when she was alive. Oh, my grandpa, I didn't have a good relationship with them. But it was the spirits who were coming in my dreams. Those I could relate. Those were what was helping me. And there are some ancestors just like us who didn't do so nice. And it is not in our place to judgment, but it is understandable if you are in a situation when you cannot relate to your ancestor, you don't have a good relationship. Like, why would I call this person? Why would I pray? They were not doing good. But beyond our human perception of good or bad, we all are learning. We're all very unique. We all have the opportunity to change. And the concept of reincarnation in the indigenous cultures is a little bit different than what was known as your soul will come back in a new body. The concept in reincarnation through the ancestral lineage is being that sometimes the duties or the gift of an ancestor may recall in the next generation and in the next person because of the person didn't finish it. Usually your soul, it's aligned to your ancestral lineages. And there is so much topic. I think we're going to talk about this later. I don't want to go on the live. But yeah, that's me. You have 20% off coupon by the code SPRING in DoveLightOracle.com. Okay, see you later, guys.
Thanks so much, DoveLight. I'll put the basic information about the panel in here again, and all the information about the practitioners, including their specials. All right, Tammy's next.
I'm Tammy Joyful. So I have agreed and committed to be a divine conduit here on this earth plane, to allow love to flow through me and messages and healing and guidance. I'd like to assist people to live a more empowered life. I think we tend to shirk away from our highest way on this earth. So I like to try to help move away those blockages and those energy, the energy from our ancestral lineage, from traumas, childhood traumas, all sorts of different areas in our lives that are blocking us from being the best, our true selves, our favorite self, or most loving self. And so I love to provide spiritual guidance. So either one-on-one or classes that I do. I do mediumship, talking to people's ancestors that have crossed over, animal communication, loved ones, and energy healing. I'm a used to be Reiki master. And so I help you align with source energy so you can utilize the divine energy that is already within you. So you can continue to heal yourself and transform your own life. So, you know, I'm a guide, so I help to guide you in the direction to go so you can more fully be who you are. And we'd love to help you with your questions tonight on these wounds and lessons from our ancestors, and to recognize that, you know, we have these conscious decisions to make to change the patterns once we have cleared away the energetic cleared the energetic path. So we can move forward. Then we also have to continue to make these conscious decisions to change those patterns and to recognize the wounds that we still are quote unquote stuck in or feel stuck in. So I'm at tammyjoyful.com. My email is tammyjoyfulguidance@gmail.com. My special tonight is $40 for a 30-minute session, which is 40% off. And I look forward to all your questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Tammy. And Lisa.
Thank you, Laureli. Hey, Mystics. I'm Lisa Stewart of CoCreateMagic.com. I'm a creative mixed medium, and I also call myself an intuitive business guide. This would include modalities as a seer, a medium, energy healer, animal communicator, and power manifester. As a professional designer by trade, I use my intuition to guide my life and business, and now I mentor mystics in their businesses with marketing, website design, other services, and product development. As an intuitive business guide and healer, I mentor mystics who want to move from the work world to the spiritual world so they can leverage their intuition and master energy to develop their brand magic. Today, I am excited to be part of the panel with Laureli and all these other wonderful practitioners on wounds and lessons from our ancestors. Now, what I end up doing is I will work with my ancestors to help guide me, since I'm pretty new to this. And they guide me into building a better product line or expanding my product line. And I can share this with you too. So whether you're just peeking out of the spiritual closet or starting your business, I want to help you co-create your magic. Now, leveraging 30 years of business with Fortune 100 companies and small business experience, I've designed and built several hundred products over the years, selling them worldwide from my brick and mortar shop as well as online. My work has been featured in major news stations and movies. I've also authored several articles found in industry publications, all co-creating with spirit. And I use this experience to help you brand your magic, build your product lines, package your services to weather all storms, and market yourself in a feel-good way, all without the use of psychic mind control. I want to let you know that I'm launching Mystic Maker's Business Portal. It's everything you need to start and sustain your business. The business portal is for the spirited, courageous, creative entrepreneur who wants to support building their business, even if they're not tech savvy. It's an action-based get shit done library that grants you access to everything you need to grow your business with live coaching, on-demand training, tools, templates, and more. So I invite you to join the waitlist today to lock in the founder's price. You can find this and more on CoCreateMagic.com. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, and I can't wait to help you on your journey. Stay magical.
That's great. And maybe could you tell everyone that watches this on video how to spell CoCreateMagic.com, because you have an unusual spelling.
Absolutely, Laureli. CoCreateMagic.com, CoCreateMagic.com.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and matchmaker. I read your eyes, read your soul. And I answer questions about your soul, your purpose, your career path, relationships, if you show me photos of others that you're connected with. And I love to use this work for matchmaking to help you find a soulmate or connect with anyone for whatever it is you're wanting to do. Let's say you want to create something totally new in your business and you need a lot of creative feedback of new ideas because you're not as much of a new ideator. So you want to go find someone that has the creativity talent, or you have tons of ideas and you need someone to help you ground and make things more effective and produce. Then you want to go talk to someone that has the efficiency talent. So there are all kinds of different things like that that I can help you see who to partner with, who to work with, who to hire. And for dating and matchmaking, I don't think it's great to be with someone like in business. I think it's better to be with someone like you. So to be like you in this life, to express your purpose, it's important that you are loose enough with what's happening in the past. And we'll talk about that more in a few minutes. So I love to read your eyes, read your body. Your body tells me about what's happening for you right in the moment. Sometimes it tells me about things that have been hanging out for a long time. And read your eyes and help get you on your path and help you see in other people's eyes, whatever it is that would be helpful for you to see. I have a special in the chat to come for free for one of my matchmaking events or to do a 20-minute mini session with me. You can find out more about me at intuitiveeyereading.com and matchmakingsoulmates.com. All right, well, let's, some of us already started talking about the theme about wounds and lessons from our ancestors, and there's more to say. So let's see. So I know Kai, you shared a bunch. Do you want to share a little bit more? And then let's go around again.
Sure. I think that it's when you work with your ancestors, it's really important to because I know DoveLight was talking about like her grandparents and I don't like them. Why do I want to talk to them? And the thing is, like, when you work with your ancestors, you don't necessarily have to work with the ones that you actually know. Most of the time when I work with ancestors, like when I call forth for someone's ancestors to come and speak to them, sometimes I get people that are so far back, like they're like 18, 20, 30 generations back, people that don't speak English, people who are like in a, who were like lived, died in another country still. But yet, because you're still related to them, they will come forward and help you with things, whatever it is you need, even if it's just support. Like in my case, here's a story that happened to me before I started working with my ancestors. Okay, this is just me just beginning to realize that I was a kahuna because I wasn't ready to own it yet. I had gone to like the canoe journey that we have here in the Pacific Northwest. I was invited to go and be in the healer's tent. And I had been there like on my feet the whole time for 8 hours in a tent. And so by the third day, my back was killing me. And so one of the other healers is like, hey, get on the table. So I got on the table and she started working on me and I was face down on the table and I opened my eyes briefly and I saw like a white skirt. And I thought, okay, whatever. I didn't think anything of it. And I closed my eyes and, I let them keep working on me. And then when I got off the table, I didn't think anything of it because I knew that the healer that was working on me had a skirt on. What I didn't realize is that she was wearing a black skirt. I saw a white skirt. And when I asked her, I was like, what was that about? She goes, oh, yeah, your ancestors are all in here with you. I was like, oh. And that was like one of that is like the most recent example of other people telling me about my ancestors. So they show up all the time. And I don't know exactly who that was. And it almost doesn't matter because, it's like this is a kind of thing that we have access to now that people don't realize. Even now, like sometimes when I feel like I need to be protected, like something doesn't feel right, I ask my ancestors to come and protect me. And you know what? I feel warriors standing around me in a circle. It's like there's nothing like it. And it's a feeling that you cannot surpass, you don't forget. So working with your ancestors and working through whatever issues they have frees yourself and your entire family. I mean, that's good stuff. Like you cannot discount that. I mean, it's one of the most powerful things that will change your life if you can work with your ancestors, because you release them and you release yourself at the same time.
Great. Thanks so much, Kai. DoveLight, is there more you want to jump in and share about the topic?
Oh no, I'm very honored and grateful to listen to everybody, but of course, thank you. First, we honor and bless the ancestors of the land that we're residing. We honor and bless the ancestors of our blood and bones, and we honor and bless the ancestors of the spirit. I genuinely feel like working with ancestors is coming back to that oneness. This is Mother Earth is like a cell, like the cells we have. It's a cosmology and universe of oneness. And we all came from creator or from the force or the light or whatever you believe, if you choose God, Goddess. And that's our original ancestor, that's our oneness. And we all, if it resonates with you, please keep away what doesn't resonate, align with what it resonates to. Usually your soul, when it's doing the soul contrast and soul programming, if you will, of what is going to be the next lifetime, will align with an ancestral lineage that can help them to overcome, grow, expand, because the ancestry might have challenges that needs to be resolved. They align with your soul growing purpose, which might be generally different because everybody has a different way to expand, to express. What I noticed in the last few years, and also in my case, is that a lot of high evolved souls choose to reincarnate in ancestral lineages that are very damaged, that are very hurt, because of not only because they kind of, I don't want to call it sacrifice, but it's more like the volunteer through pass through certain things in order to heal that lineage, because by healing themselves, they generally are healing their lineage. They generally are being able to detangle those hurtful or painful notch that sometimes it carries generation to the next one, a generation to the next one. For example, in the mental realm, in the air realm, it could be like people, you have this toughness of gel and scream and insult at each other. And then the mother doesn't know how to communicate like that. And it's going to pass that to the next generation. And the next generation is going to pass it to that because they don't know how to communicate until someone comes and break the cycle. And they decide to choose, no, my words have honor, my word has respect, and change to shift that. From the emotional realm, it might come from, let's say you have an ancestor from a long time that fell from a high cliff. And it was so traumatic that the trauma might have been stored in their body before they die, or it might be stored somewhere in there. And now the next generation, for no reason, they love mountain parks and they love Six Flags and all that. Suddenly, when they're gonna go by the cliff, they start feeling this rush of fear. But and it's because it's a storage because emotional was so big. And when you inherit your DNA, you not only get the eyes or the nose, you also get the non-physical part, sometimes the prints from the energy field. And that was emotional, mental, and physical. And from the spiritual realm, just as we have wounds, we also have gifts. We also have blessings. We also have like a soul ancestral purpose, if you will. Some families are very experts or very aligning to do herbal work. Otherwise are more like spiritual work. Some others have the community. So there is like this natural calling, this natural gift that comes just by being there. And it is very beautiful. And what I was going to say about the other ones that, okay, so perhaps you might not even know your ancestors, or you might not even understand where you come from. Perhaps you are adopted. Perhaps you didn't like your grandparents, like we were saying. Perhaps you didn't, but just like everybody else, we do have like people that genuinely love us, and we have people who don't resonate with us. And there is no doubt in the universe that there is ancestors, there is people that even from past generations, they know who you are. You are in the Mayan cosmology, we have this saying that you are the gift, or you are the prayer that my grandfather asked for. So they asked for me. The elders always saying, somebody pray for me to be here, to continue the dream, to continue the work. So you perhaps didn't meet them when they were alive, but they definitely know who you are. They're definitely watching over, they're definitely guiding you. And it is out of love, but also because they can keep evolving. They can keep expanding by working through you. Now, last thing I want to say before I pass it to somebody is that I was involved in ancestral healing where I was really going for something different, and when I was in the energy field, we discovered a very, very past ancestor. She literally looked a lot like me. We were almost wearing the same color of clothes. She got confused. She was very jealous of me. She was very resentful because she didn't have a good life or a will to speak or talk. She was and interestingly, I got similar traits of how her life was, but the resentment was misplaced. I think she was getting confused with me, but when we were able to allow her to speak, just to be present and witnessing her, to release her, I never in my life was able to feel so free of resentment. Like I'm like everybody else. So I feel anger, I feel sad, I feel joy. I have things that I still have to forgive and work on. But when after she was freeing, by just allowing her to speaking up and acknowledge her, to bring her back to her place, because she was literally very misplaced in my life without me knowing, I feel like my heart cannot hold resentment the way it used to at the moment. It's just naturally doesn't come, it doesn't align. And it was so interesting because I didn't expect that. When you choose to be more involved with ancestral healing or with your own ancestral acknowledgement, you might expect things that you didn't expect at all, and you might receive healing that you might not even comprehend. It's very, very beautiful work that we have the opportunity to be open up to heal and to do so and to share with others. So I complete myself with that for now. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. All right, Tammy.
Okay, Tammy Joyful here. So what are, some of those wounds and lessons that we have, either learned from our ancestors that are present in our life or are not? There's like scarcity, or it's not okay to have money, or suffering, or criminal behavior, or not allowing yourself to be seen or successful, guilt, obligation, respect your elders. You must respect your elder, things that to a point that's unhealthy, and obeying your parents to a point that's unhealthy for yourself and your own journey, like the superwoman complex. I can do it all, or I must do it all. So that that's just a few, and some things can be cleared immediately. And also I believe that we need to go through experiences, although they're uncomfortable, to really learn and incorporate the lessons in our lives too. So as we go through these experiences, then we can move forward more easily, and to remember what we've learned more fully. So, and how can you determine what some of these things are in your life? Some of the wounds are in your life. Sometimes we know right away, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you can, things I've found helpful is to like set up a family tree, people in your family, and write down some woundings that they had, or some traits, or some lessons that you learned from them. So going through and this, back as far as you know, but of course, like others have said, it can go back, much farther, but to start, to have a place to start. I guess that's what I want to do right now, is to just kind of help you, if you don't know where to start, to have a place to start by looking at your own wounds and the wounds of the ancestors that you do know of, and lessons that you've learned from them, so you can have a place to start. And then so when I've helped myself and others to heal these ancestral wounds and incorporate the lessons in our life, I find that it's helpful to recognize them, like we've been talking about, and acknowledge what happened, if in your own life, and to do healing work with if you're yourself a seasoned healer, or do with a seasoned healer, do such things as cord cutting or cord dissolving or transforming those energy cords. Forgiveness has been a huge portion of my journey, doing the Ho'oponopono, that just to forgive, and that's for myself, for myself, to forgive myself, and to forgive others and ancestors for quote unquote passing these things down to us. They're all left, and everything's a lesson. The wounds are lessons too, I believe. So to look at them as something to transform and to recognize and move forward from, instead of something to push away or be embarrassed by or things like that. So then to get to a place of appreciation. So once you, to me, after the forgiveness, once you can get to a place of forgiveness, you can get to a place of appreciation. So appreciation for all that your ancestors have gone through, all that you've gone through. That is a huge piece to me. And then to move forward into those new thought patterns and beliefs and into a new life. It takes that conscious effort to make a choice, to change that thought patterns and the beliefs. So to walk more fully into a new, the changes that you want to make in your life. So when we recognize the little patterns and behaviors and wounds, they can surface again, or when we have distractions, like binge watching Netflix, things like that. So when either the old wounds come up or we distract ourselves because of them, because they're uncomfortable, and of course they're going to be, days of perceived failure and that. But if we stop thinking of them as failure and think of it as more of lessons and how to move forward from these lessons, use it as a stepping stone into a new life that you desire. And then for me, the next step is just to breathe and have compassion for yourself and for others too. And that's another thing too, if you can go through and write down the stories or even make up stories, just fantasize stories to what your ancestors might have gone through. It helps to understand them and have more compassion for them. So the automatic writing, to me, helps with that also, or journaling and automatic writing through that. And then, of course, to me, allow peace into your life. Allow peace into your life, and then allow yourself to just move forward in your life. And then, go back and take steps as you need to. Sometimes we'll have to, go over things again. So I feel when we recognize and heal these wounds in our life, we automatically heal our ancestral line and the collective also. I don't think it just ends with the ancestral line. I think it's the collective also, I think DoveLight said that too. So may we keep the lessons and the love from our ancestors and release all else. And so I'm looking forward to chatting with you today and answering some of your questions. You can find me at TammyJoyful.com, YouTube, Facebook, TammyJoyfulGuidance@gmail. And again, my offer is $40 for a 30-minute session, which is 40% off. Love you guys. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tammy. Lisa.
Thank you. Yeah, it hasn't been that long for me since I've been connecting with my wonderful ancestors. I grew up in a dysfunctional family, and like DoveLight, I didn't hang out with my mean grandparents. And I didn't realize that I could connect with my ancestors to help me on my journey. So it's a wonderful paradigm shift and experience to learn more about myself. So last year at one of the first MeWe fairs that I attended and exhibited at, I had a sound healing experience with Stacy. So I get on her table and she places a brass bowl on my butt, and the vibration reverberated throughout my body and immediately sent me into this wonderful theta state. So at which point I'm laying face down And a Native American chief with full headdress introduces himself to me. I'm like, huh, that was interesting. So I get off the table. And later, I really didn't know how to reach out to him, but he knew how to reach out to me. So now he joins me every day as I activate my chi through qigong exercises. So that is a wonderful way that I work with my ancestors. Another way was last year when I was making my own birthday cake. And I knew that I wanted it to include chocolate. And I had pistachios in a bowl, and I was shucking the pistachios. And I'm like, this is a low impact opportunity to invite my ancestors in and my spirit guides to help me build some kind of chocolate decadent dessert that could be a lot of fun to partner with. So as I invited them in, I made sure that I invited only those with the highest trust and compassion into the circle in my kitchen, and make sure that any miscreants and tricksters were out, because I certainly don't want to be poisoned by them. But I invited my ancestors up, and I could feel this wonderful warmth to my left side, and I could feel a couple of them, and they were really strong. And so I was trying to tap my senses, and it was a surprise to get the visions of butter in a saucepan. And then I asked, well, what am I supposed to do with this butter in the saucepan? And they intimated that I should throw the pistachios. And I said, well, okay. So I get out the saucepan, turn on the stove and melt some butter. And I'm sitting there kind of with my eyes half closed, just asking them for more direction. I'm like, okay, you're telling me what to do. You're the puppet master. Tell me what to do. And so they told me exactly how many pistachios to throw in the melted butter. They also told me to take a pinch of lavender. And I'm like, oh, hold on. I got that on my shelf. And they're like, yeah, we know. So grab, fresh lavender, take a pinch, and I swivel it over like a crane. And I'm like, okay, tell me how much, right? So I'm pinching, letting the blossoms fall into the pan. And they said, okay, that's enough. So I take the rest, throw it in the jar. And I'm stirring. I'm like, all right, let me know how long I should stir. So I'm stirring. And I'm waiting, and they're like patiently, and they're quiet. And suddenly they're like, okay, now. So I take the pan of pistachios off the stove onto the counter, and I let them cool for a second, and I start munching on them. I'm like, oh my God, this is good. This is really good. And that was the very first time that I actually worked with my ancestors, who told me exactly what to do. And I just thought that was a wonderful birthday party surprise that I was over the moon with that. I just thought it was fabulous. Recently, I was in talking with my ancestors about probably 5 or 6 weeks or so ago. And I was in what I call my little ready room, and I've got a table and they're sitting around. And I'm like, should I start a membership site? And the funny thing was, I have trouble hearing them. I want to hear them, right? And, I keep asking them, can you speak up? Can you speak up? Can you speak up? So when I asked, should I start a membership site? All of them, holy smoke, they're all like, yes. I'm like, oh, okay, I heard you. So it's like, I finally got all the synchronicities that they've been, sending to me. And it was just a joyful moment to go, okay, I'm finally getting it now. So yeah, that's what I've been working on behind the scenes. And so when I talk about, working with your ancestors, those are some of the things that you can do. You can have them help you discover old family recipes, or help you in business, or your life path, your purpose, whatever that might be for you. So these wounds and these lessons can then manifest into something beautiful for you. So those are just a few stories that I wanted to share about my experience. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much. Once again, going last, I'm taking notes about things I might share. So I committed this a little bit ignorantly, in that I know lots of different topics, and I haven't spent a lot of energy time directly connecting with my ancestors. So I know for me, I immediately think of past lives and ancestors. And so I think about, what have I discovered for myself about my past lives? So over my life, I just noticed, like, what shows up that, what are the things that catch my eye, of all the things that are here? What attracts me? What are the things that stay with me that I don't want to let go? It might be some, so things that have been unusual interests that don't maybe make sense in the rest of this life. Yeah. So noticing those things. And then as I played with this idea of past lives, or I think back now, my ancestors and the opportunity to learn from them. So I encourage you to notice what these kinds of things are that show up for you, that have shown up. What are the things that you don't want to throw out, that you keep bringing with you from place to place? And what are they connected to with other things in your life? And let yourself just play and imagine, right? How do you feel when you imagine that this might be part of your history, that these might be some of your ancestors, that you might have past lives in these places, in these ways? And if you notice openness and flow in your body, if you feel more ease and relaxation as you imagine this, chances are I think it's true. Of course, you might be imagining back to some part of your life that's, some part of your lives that has been so hard. My experience is that I feel lots of ease whenever I connect back with these. Yeah, so I think letting yourself play and imagine, and if you've been practicing opening your intuition, I think this is much easier. And so, but letting yourself, play with fantasy of what could be and finding out how your body feels. Your body for me is a great cue for how to know when you're on the right path. So just some examples for me. Ever since I was a kid, I had this strong desire to throw on the potter's wheel. I'm like, where did this come from? My grandma used to watch all kinds of shows on TV. And so did I see something on TV? Did I see it in a museum? Like what happened? But I just felt so strong drive to do this, and I felt scared, and I had ended up avoiding it for a long time, I could say. And finally I did learn to throw, and I was really good. And I taught other people. I've made work and sold work. And so that part of the 9 lives of my life, probably was a cat too. And well, I'm gonna say, and then I've also had a lot of interest in Asian culture in various ways. And so at one point I just sort of played with, I guess I must have been a Japanese potter in a past life. And, my last name even just came from the universe. That sounds very Japanese. It's connected to Japanese words. So, and when I said it, like the way pottery showed up in my life finally makes sense. So I have opportunities to think back of so what are the lessons that I learned from this? And, I can say one of the lessons that I learned, which I was just writing at the end of this, is I can be a bit stubborn, and I can push and persevere and the same thing over and over in a way that gets in my way. And I probably learned a lot of how to do that in that life, because I probably was making the same thing over and over. So it's learning to not do it that way now. And I've always felt a deep connection to Sumerian sculpture. I didn't even really know what it was, but I remember when I finally went to the museum in Chicago and I saw some of the sculptures, and I got a card and I carried it around with me forever. And then a few years later, when I did my first spiritual thing, was a Moon Lodge, we had to choose a goddess to embody for one of the events. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And the whole idea of goddess. And I ended up choosing a Nana, not even realizing it's from the same culture as where all these sculptures were from. And so then later, when I changed my name to this name, and I was just starting to do my intuitive work, and I felt really scared, and I had all these business clients, and oh no, they're thinking I'm psychic, and what do I do? And I haven't owned this yet. So I changed my name to a pseudonym, and I used a Nana with an H added for a while when I first came out of the broom closet. And so these are parts of my history in some way that I don't necessarily understand. And the more I can just let myself open of what are the lessons here for me from them. And another one is I've always felt some connection with gypsies or other traveling people. And I recently realized that I've set myself up to travel from fair to fair to fair in all these different areas. And some other people how could you travel that much? It's great for me. I love it. It just feels right. And so, so this probably makes some sense in my history. And then also just biologically, from a few generations back, I have a lot of relatives from Poland, Russia, Belarus, areas just north of Ukraine. So from them, I definitely feel a lot of strength, which fits back in with that persevering. And so I have a lot of that. I think that's part of why I'm able to do what I do, not just this life and this soul, because it's really not in some ways from my biological family. So it's further back. And but yeah, so some of my lessons are how to use that in a way that doesn't get in my way, the way I've let it so much in my life. And I think after just being part of this panel, I realized I have so many more opportunities to let myself open, to ask, to feel, to allow into me what are the lessons from all of them. So there's a little bit of my journey and how I play with this, and some of the ways that I would support you to do the same sort of thing. All right. Anything anyone else wants to share on the panel about the theme? And I guess in general, we talk about past lives, we talk about ancestors. Does everyone, I mean, I think of ancestors maybe as like, maybe further back, but maybe not. Does anyone else, is it really the same thing, or yeah, is it different? Go ahead, DoveLight.
No, before we enter into that topic, I just want to honor that we all might have in different journeys or parts in our connection with our ancestor, or if we even choose to do so. But as long as you genuinely choose to do what makes you happy, as long as you genuinely do not give up on yourself and follow what feels natural for you, what resonates for you, and it's in a healthy way, you're already healing your lineage. Or if there is something that needs to appear, it will appear, it become clear one way or another. It might be through ancestral healing, through hypnosis, past life, but it's generally about honoring yourself as a being, as a light, as part of a greater family, blood, spiritual, earth. So you might not know where you're standing at, but if you do the best you can to do healthy choices, to honor yourself, love yourself, do things that you love, your ancestral healing, it's already being healed in one way or another. It might not be as conscious, but it is being affected, because everything we do affect our ancestors and also affect the planet, affects everything else. So I was in a part of my journey when I just feel similar like you. I know somebody who was from Greek who was evicted at the same date that her ancestors were evicted from the country. Many of a lot of the ancestral wounds, not all of them, but many of them has this. They left their homeland. They have to run away from war. They have to leave the places they love, and some of them are still looking for that place. Actually, was one in ancestral healing where just by putting the ancestors back in home, the person was able to stop disassociating, trying to escape from her own body. It was very interesting. So we might be in a part of our journey where, when I came to this country, when I was in circle with the elders here, just by me being part of a shamanic circle or something spiritual, I feel home. And I think I'm the one in the family who got that pattern that I generally feel home with spirituality. My family is very gifted in many spiritual gifts, but I'm the one who is actually more conscious to honor with the altars, celebrations, offerings, energy healings. But I think it comes natural for me because my soul, it's in service, so it aligned with it. But I was in a place where I just was okay with just feeling home being in shamanic circle, because that's something that resonated with me and I loved. But without me knowing, I was representing the ancestors and the healers and the shamans from my lineage just by doing something that I love until I become more conscious. Then when I start understanding that not all ancestors wanted our highest good, because some of them are still wounded, and that wound, that pain is still affecting the lineages, you be like, well, no, I don't want to deal with the raper, or I don't want to be with the drug addict. No, I don't want to deal with it. However, as Kay says something beautiful before that, if you generally see that and free that person, you will see that the most wounded person is the one who actually perpetrates the most. And there is like a place when you lose judgment, because you understand that that person in his own way was human, just like you. And it has the same opportunities to grow and expand, or to retreat and to become that which it chooses to become. So I think that's in the part when you make peace, when you have the power and the right to do boundaries. If you don't want it, you call. But also you go sometimes beyond that, when you understand that it was just another human just like you, and it has the same opportunities. Sometimes they don't to the level that you have, but some choices, to choose just like you and make their choices. Then later on, when I start working with the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit existed before religion, before systematization and everything, there was a Holy Spirit. There is, and there still is. So please, I'm not talking about the Holy Spirit from a specific religion or psycho code. I'm just talking to what it is. It gave me a peace, because it made me realize that there is no fear, actually. When you're working with the source, when you genuinely are in that place, you can honor all ancestors. The one that are consciously help you, continue working, benefiting, and love you. And the ones that are wounded, as they're working on it, they also get the light in their own way. They get their, so what I'm trying to say is that it's not choose and pick. when you genuinely are working from a place of love, that love can be your protection, your strength, your force, your bodyguards, and everything. And it's just oneness. Then it become healing of oneness, and there is no choosing only this one or only that one or only my lineage. So the image that they're showing me, it's that my closer ancestors will be like, for example, a maple tree. But the maple tree is also from the oak tree or a pine tree, which might be another country, another lineage. But all of these trees are part of Mother Earth, and Mother Earth is part of the galaxy and the universe. So it is important to connect with your blood and bones, but it's also important to understand that we also have ancestors in the land, the guardians and keeping of the land. We're already yours. We also have the ancestors from the stars. In my culture, in many cultures around the world, we have these legends and memories that we came from the unstar people who helped create humanity. So again, it's going back to the oneness, to the source. And when we come from this place of genuine openness to compassion and love, we are not only protected, but healing takes place in ways that we might not even imagine. So we all might be in different stage of what ancestral healing or ancestral wound might entail, or even your ancestral relationship. But as long as you come with this open heart and your intention is clear and pure, just want to reconnect, communicate, it happens naturally like that. It's really good medicine. It's really nothing to fear with that. I just wanted to honor that before we go to the other topic.
That's great. Thank you so much. And just as you were sharing, I realized one thing I wanted to say too. In telling the stories about me, I'm not attempting to say that I was a Nana. I don't think that I was a Nana, but that culture, I connect with that culture and that time. And I do really connect with the Nana story of, to me, like the simple thing of like going to hell and coming back. And it just helped me know that like all the hard things that I've been through and all the hard things I might go through, that I can keep coming back, and you know, that we can keep making it through things. So yeah, stories that are so inspiring and so that mean so much to each of us. Yeah, it's great. It's great what you shared. Yeah, if you want to say what you shared too. Oh, okay. Yeah, great. All right. Well, we are available to take your questions. It is a small price to ask a question of us, and probably all of us will give you an answer. It's 20 to 28 sliding scale, or $12 for BIPOC folks as a step of making reparations. And I should say too, like if you haven't already been doing this, this is a great time to just scribble and draw this whole time, because your ancestors could be speaking to you. We talked about automatic writing, and just to find out what's coming through you as we're sharing, as we're all in the space of this theme. This is a great time to learn from all that's asked and all that's answered, all that's discussed, whether or not you ask a question, although we'd love to have you ask a question. It's great to ask a personal question, just like you would in a private session with one of us. It gives us an opportunity to give you a deep answer, and then also it gives everyone an opportunity to learn from you, from what you ask and the answers that you receive. It's a great time to practice opening to your intuition, because if someone asks a question, you may have something come through you. I encourage you to draw, scribble, and write everything that shows up. It's an opportunity to see that what's coming through you is similar to what we're tapping into as well, if we're sharing something similar. And of course, you might have something come through that would be relevant. It's just something that we don't say. And if you do have something come through you that might be for the person that asked the question, please wait until we finish answering. And then if you want, feel free to write them privately in chat and ask them if they'd like to hear what it is that came through you. And then if they say yes, of course, go ahead and share. And if you do ask a question, when you ask, when we are answering, we go deeper than you want us to go, we talk about topics you don't want us sharing about here in public format that is recorded and will go online, that's totally okay. Let us know. We want to stop and honor you in our answer. So interrupt us if this comes up. All right. You don't have to be on camera to ask. You can be anonymous to ask. If you want, you can write your question to me and I will read it off and no one will know who it's from. Or you can just ask from where you are, not on camera and, you know, not up on stage. That's all fine. So the person that was asking about that, do you want to ask a question? Okay, great. Okay, great. All right. Well, you're going to be our first person up on stage then, not on stage, on stage. All right. So do you want to unmute and ask us your, oh, you're going to write it? Okay, great. The answer is coming, everyone. So I'll read it out to you.
I guess if I can unmute, that'll be easier and faster.
Yeah. That's
I
great
just
too.
want to have a little bit of background noise.
That's okay. This way everyone can feel your energy in your voice and everything too. So that's great. Go ahead. What's your question?
Okay, perfect. So I have a feeling, and I don't know a whole lot of, I haven't done a whole lot of time or delving into ancestral stuff before. I feel like there's something that I'm supposed to know that I'm kind of missing. I know I had an astrology reading done once that was talking about something about a yod or something like that was supposed to be related to some sort of pattern, I guess, with my ancestral family, that I was supposed to switch somehow or something. I don't know. That is not my forte, but I guess I am just trying to get maybe any feedback or any kind of information that comes up. I felt called like I should ask. Maybe like I read tarot a little bit, and sometimes it's just what is it that I need to know right now? So I kind of feel called to ask something like that. And yeah, if there is something that maybe bringing it into my awareness could help me have a little bit of clarity, understanding what I'm working with, or direction or something like that. Is that making sense to you guys?
Yeah, there's some nodding happening. So yeah, must be.
Okay.
All right. Kai's got her hand up. Go ahead, Kai. And after like 3-ish minutes, I'll just wave this, go ahead.
Yeah, what I feel like you're missing, or actually I don't think you're missing anything. I think it's just time for you to start working on the ancestral healing that we've all been babbling about for the last 10 minutes or whatever. It's because the way I work with stuff is that I take people to the other side to talk to the ancestors that, for my view, they're kind of stuck in the middle, like they haven't let go of stuff. So like their fears, their grudges, their pains, their all the stuff that they're not willing to let go of so that they can cross over completely. That's the stuff that's still affecting you. And so what's happened is, like, what's coming to the forefront is they're giving you an opportunity to figure out a path to get to that person or to get to that situation and remove that anchor for yourself and for the rest of your family. So that's why it's coming up. So it's not like you're missing anything. It's just like, okay, so here's your next thing. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, that does.
Okay, so it's just a matter of like finding the right method, I guess you could say. Because like I said, I do shamanic work. Like I literally walk people over to the other side and do things. Other people do things in a different way. So you just need to find the right way that makes sense for you. And then you can go to that situation, to that person, to those circumstances, to that location, whatever it happens to be, to do whatever is required so that that energy that's trapped there, because that's basically, it's trapped energy, that can then be released.
Okay. That sounds great. Thank you.
All right, great. DoveLight's next.
Hi, thank you for your question. May I ask you were talking about patterns. Is there any specific patterns that you feel Koi has been repeating a lot that it has helped you to generally be more involved or know more about ancestral healing?
Patterns. I don't remember saying anything about patterns. What did I say specifically?
I heard the word pattern. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. Just be aware that well, I keep hearing patterns, oh Lord. Just be aware that just by, like I say, just by being yourself, by being you, by living your life, by following what feels called for you, you are already healing the ancestors. So please, just be aware that there is no such a thing as a deadline or something horrible happen if you don't untangle that thing right away, because you're not gonna be happy, because that will be more of our perception or our mental thing. When something is meant to come into your life or meant for you to know, trust me, you will know. And if it comes from the ancestors, they will definitely let you know through dreams, through synchronicities, through somebody. So just be aware. I'm definitely seeing that you have a spiritual connection to the realms. I feel like miracles happen in your life and you have the ability to manifest in your kindness and your compassion. It's what it will really help you if there is something to untangle in your ancestral lineage. So we always approach ancestral healing with compassion. Now, what I'm picking up, it's a little bit of denial about something. So if it resonates with you, you could journal or reflect, like if there is a pattern or something in your life that, or perhaps in your family, your mother or your grandfather or somebody who there is a pattern of keeping stick, not being able to acknowledge a situation or not being able to see a situation as there is. Usually when there is a little bit of denial here, it can be, if it's like a pattern, something perhaps might have happened with an ancestor that was not acknowledged, and it might keep repeating in the future generations or in order for us to see it, to acknowledge it, so it can be free and move on. I'm picking up a little bit of somebody holding on to things, and that takes a string to hold it, to hold the value onto things. And yeah, it's so basically I'm picking up the energy of somebody who hold things, but by holding themselves down, you actually are robbing yourself to see your own value, and that can be a little bit of self-sabotage. I don't see it as something major, but I'm definitely picking up the energy in the field, in the ancestral field. So if you feel interested, that could be something to explore or work on, because it's about holding something, and just the fact when we hold something so hard, we are already wasting energy. We're all this effort that you could use to create something and to move forward, we're using it to hold it in. And by not doing this, we're not allowing to see the value of a new beginning or value of yourself. That's a little bit of denial right there. And that can be a little bit of self-sabotage if it resonates with you. But definitely a great connection with the heaven realms and with kindness, you can make things happen. That's what I'm picking up for now.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Great. And I just put my notes in the chat too. There definitely was pattern in what you shared.
Oh, okay.
You said something related to a pattern. All right, we've got Tammy next.
Hi. So the energy that I got, the first energy that I picked up on was self-destruction. So to explore what that means to you, what for yourself, or if there are like your parents or grandparents or the lineage, the ancestral lineage that you know of, you can think of how that might relate to anyone there, self-destruction. And for yourself, how you can do that, well, and for them also. Anyway, it would get back to that journaling. I'm a big proponent of journaling and automatic writing and like you were saying, for your oracle card readings, you can ask that question and then pull a card related to it too. Tell me more about this self-destruction. And there could be some the energy of doubt also comes up related to that self-destruction. So to go through that journaling, the automatic writing, pulling a card related to that, what do I need to know today about self-destruction? If you already feel that within yourself, to explore that, to recognize it, acknowledge it, do the healing work, however that looks to you, reach out to someone, to help you with that healing work. When we talk about, cutting and dissolving cords, I feel like if that might be needed in this case, I feel like to make sure that you get assistance from a seasoned, healer or guide to assist with those type things. Forgiveness, of course, of self and others for any self-destructive behavior that you feel has impacted your life.
The self-destructive comment is just funny to me right now because I'm on a very specific diet, and I opened a Pepsi like shortly before getting, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm literally sitting here drinking something that I know makes me feel bad. So that's kind of funny to me. Okay.
That's awesome. Thanks for saying that. Oh, but that's that pattern. So recognizing you recognize it and acknowledge it. And then, and it's still a choice. You can choose to finish it, or you can choose to throw it away, or you can, and it's just making choices from here on out, and maybe next time you go to reach for it consciously, when we consciously make those decisions, sometimes we do it unconsciously. It's just a habit. Like for me, it's a bag of chips. If I, unconsciously grab a bag of chips and eat the whole thing, it just kind of happens, but, and then you try to be more conscious of like, do I really want that or not? Or do I really want to? Sometimes, it's okay to have that feeling, sometimes you don't care and you want to, it's okay to feel yucky, you know what I mean? So it's just, and to have compassion for yourself when you do things, like that, when you do choose to do what you quote unquote know is the wrong, wrong thing or right thing, or what is right or wrong, but to have compassion for yourself and to recognize that, to move forward into new thought pattern. Do I want to make this choice? Do I want to change these thought patterns and beliefs? And just bring it into recognize the acknowledgement and the conscious awareness of the choices that we make. Thank you.
That sounds great. Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tammy. Lisa.
Hey, Elle. So I pulled an oracle card for you. Actually, it was a major arcana. And what I pulled was the High Priestess. And we know that the High Priestess is a magical symbol. She likes to work between the realms, right? The conscious and the subconscious. And what this tells me is that this is in support of what everyone else is telling you that comes before me. And that is really, it's about gaining clarity, right? And because you're navigating, I would also support the idea of doing some dream work and asking your ancestors to come help you identify what some of those subconscious things that are driving your actions or inactions for clarity, right? So the journaling, the dream journaling, and ask them to bring you signs and signals and be absolutely clear, knock you over the head with those symbols that they're trying to share with you. So that way you get a little more understanding about which path you should take. And another image I got was big crashing waves on a beach. And to me, that's, a water symbol. It's very emotional and it's very turbulent. So it sounds like you might also be experiencing some instability, which I think goes to support what everyone here on the panel is saying. And you talked about the Pepsi, and I know that from experience, when we're trying to achieve something, right? We're trying to achieve a goal and we're like, well, I know I shouldn't be drinking this Pepsi, but I don't know another way. I don't know how to I can recognize that I'm doing that, but what do I do next? And we all struggle with willpower. But when we take a look at the broader spectrum, like a goal, right? So what is your absolute goal? And I'm coming at this from a very structured business kind of perspective, but you may be looking at the whole Pepsi, cracking the Pepsi open as maybe a lack of willpower. But when you understand what that goal is, then willpower then kind of dissolves. And when you recognize, well, the goal that I want to achieve is X. And when you ask yourself, will this Pepsi get me there? And if the answer is no, then that should be a pretty easy decision. So once you then match your goal going, okay, this is fantastic. Not having that Pepsi helped me attain that goal. And so I want more of that. So when you're struggling with, whether or not it's willpower or goal, choose goal. So that way the willpower is non-issue for you. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a good way to look at it when I'm right. It's like a very simplified way of like, is this getting me closer to my goal? Because there's definitely that unconscious or subconscious motivator, like, why did I reach for it in the first place? But then just to take that pause to kind of assess it in that strategic way, that sounds like a good plan.
Fantastic. Best of luck.
Yes, thank you.
Great, thanks, Lisa. So I'm going to say a word to you. I'm just curious to see what happens for you, what comes up for you about this word, okay? So the word is swoon.
Oh, well, I think I picture like a Disney princess or something. Like, right?
What is
Isn't
she?
that what's
Right, so what is
swoon?
she doing? What is the energy of the swoon?
Isn't it just this like almost fainting or something?
Hmm.
Like just a kind of, I almost want to say collapse. Like there's a little bit of a collapse, like maybe it's like an overwhelmment that leads to this kind of collapse.
Hmm. Yeah, so if you think about you and what are the responses, reactions you have inside you about that, or how does that apply to you, or how do you push it away?
How do I push away the qualities of swoon?
Hmm. Do you accept it?
Mm,
Do you push it away? Like, do you embrace that? Is that part of the range of your expression?
hmm. I guess what's coming up for me is just I feel like the idea of swooning is stupid. That's the actual dialogue that's happening in my head. Like swooning is stupid. So,
Yeah, so the way this came up for me is because you and I have had some brief interactions and then talking, a longer interaction recently, and I've been thinking about your health when you asked this question. And so just a word that showed up for me is swoon. And I was like, I wasn't even sure what it meant. So I went digging around, looking it up and all that. And so its meaning is very close to what you're sharing. The thing that's interesting though, is as I look it up, the references that come up, maybe before I say that, so part of my wondering was that maybe like an opportunity for you is to swoon as opposed to struggling and fighting,
hmm,
and so I was imagining, like somewhere way past, and if someone were struggling with their health, how might they have behaved and how might they have allowed themselves to be treated compared to what you do today?
okay.
So that was the first thing where my brain was doing. But then I looked all this up and I want to share with you about what came up looking up this word, and I'll give you a couple of links. So one talks about the symbolic power is bound up with the potential it allows for dramatic alteration, for conversion, for renewal, for sudden change, for spiritual revival into life from death.
Hmm,
So the swoon is bound up with religious renewal and transformation, with the new life of Christ that comes from a symbolic death. And yeah, so there are all kinds of famous examples of swooning. So those are some of the things. The erotics of suffering rendered through the medieval literary swoon. So that's probably more the flavor you know of. And then, so here's another one. And this is swoon, the cultural history of an ecstatic phenomenon. And so there's a great example of a film, The Falling, and dreamy exploration of mass hysteria depicting an outbreak of fainting. There's just all this great stuff. Some connection between fainting and gender. So I was also thinking about your gender and how you identify and how you show up in the world and your response to that word swoon. Like all these associations with femininity and fainting, and just feels like part of the fight inside in some ways. But there's some other things in here. So knights and ladies swoon with equal regularity, and it's some history that it was thought of as feminine, but knights and ladies swoon with equal regularity, and the swoon is a sign of strength of feeling rather than of a faint or hysterical heart.
hmm.
I'm just skimming because I know there's so many phrases here that I really liked. Swoons are used to dramatize different kinds of dangerously intense experiences. It talks about the cult of sensibility.
What was the last thing you just said?
A cult of sensibility.
Oh, okay.
It's a range of vulnerability to hysteria, but there's not just one of those things. Let me see if there was more stuff in here that was strong. Just all these aspects of it that are strong, that it's an act of resistance, a dramatic rejection of some part of culture, an act of defiance, producing a burst of feminine resistance. I did not die, but slowly as in a swoon. Life creeps back in the form of death. And then I woke and rose up. So I'm just thinking about transformation and its connection to transformation for you. One person describes swooning as the beginning of an aesthetic experience. He who has never swooned is to be pitied. Yeah, it's very much connected with a return to life. So it's what happens after the swoon that is so important.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me see if there's any little bit back of the swoon is a dramatic way to figure out the possibility of altered consciousness. Passing out predicts a coming around, a waking up to new engagements with the world.
So do you suggest that I try to practice fainting, or what do I do with all of this information now?
Yeah, so it's not just fainting, but there's like a laying back and a resting and a willingness to be held by whatever's supporting you.
Okay. That sounds like something I could definitely work on. Okay.
Right, because you have so much pushing that away, and I just feel like it's repeating the cycle, the pattern that you're in.
Right.
And so allowing yourself consciously to swoon is what could bring about the transformation and the change of you coming back to your energy.
Okay. So did this word just come to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What an interesting word. Okay.
Yeah, surrender and acceptance. Yeah, so it seems like surrendering and resting and being held in. And there's an overall like just kind of acceptance that some things are part of your path or seem like they're part of your path rather than fighting them.
Okay.
Yeah. I went a little long there, but
thank you. I appreciate it.
yeah, anyone have anything else?
Good notes here. Sorry. Go ahead.
Anyone have anything else to add? Yeah. Just from hearing each other.
I would like to ask her if is that okay, if she noticed if she have any patterns on same sickness or similar illness. Like for example, I work with. Oh yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I have, so I've had asthma for a very long time, and I've had issues with like chronic illness, invisible illness, so I've spent probably a decade in the healthcare system, and I have several different autoimmune conditions. And so I have a lot of different symptoms, but they all kind of seem to be in this, category of autoimmune. And so extreme fatigue is one of the first and one of the harder ones. But yeah, do you want to know like all the details of symptoms? Or
no, I don't need all the details, and I just need to know if it's if you notice that comes in a specific part of your body, or for example, I have worked with ancestral pattern where they come from the throat, and of course the person have to take antibiotics. Of course the person have to drink more water. Of course the person have to go to the licensed doctor, which is not a replacement for readings, but it was in the spiritual level. It was helping. She was healing through their ancestral work, because nobody in her family, or at least the women in their family, were not allowed to speak up. They felt like their body was not worth it. And it was so wounded in each generation, they was getting to the cellular level, really to the DNA. It's so the person, it was the person chosen to heal it, because she has a strong spiritual background and faith and was working with the divine. If you're not working with whatever source of love you believe in, it's really hard. You can even die sometimes. And she was able to overcome it. She was able to heal it. And it was so interesting because not only she was healing herself, but her family around it naturally takes a little while, but you could see that they were actually listening to each other. Before it was, they were not screaming to each other as much as before. Some of them even move away from the house. So this is from the spiritual realm. So if you, that's what I was asking you about a pattern, because if autoimmune system can mean many things in the physical realm, but in the self-healing can also be a self-of-acceptance, of self-love, can be a self-rejection that you have to work on. Sometimes even too much protection. So what I was asking you about the pattern, because if you notice they come in a specific part of your body, perhaps with an ancestral healer, we can all find out, or we can ask if there was any original ancestor some time ago who passed through a specific part and it's passed it down to the next generation. Or sometimes there is, I'm not saying this is not your case, but sometimes there were courses involved when people were doing warfare with energy field, because they used to do it in the past. They used to do warfare with energies, and sometimes a family lineage can be cursed, or sometimes it's a balance. And somebody in the family took too much from other, like she was in a bank and he stole from so many people. Now the next generation has left in a way for them to balance. So if that's part of the ancestral field, the checks and balances. So this is why it's very important to be aware if there is a pattern in your life, or if this illness or sickness keep coming in a specific part of your body and area, and how that make you feel. And from that on, we can work through meet or find this ancestor, or where is it coming from. I feel it will be very useful, but the key word here is the awareness, to be aware and write down, have a journal with that. I feel like you're definitely on point. The doing some ancestral healing will help you through this situation. It will clear a lot. That's coming from your own intuition. So thank you for that.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks, DoveLight. And Kai's got something else to share.
Yeah, I was actually kind of along the same lines as DoveLight, which is because you have all these different symptoms of, whatever's happening with your health, what I would suggest is to actually kind of feel where you think the energy of these things, of your symptoms, actually originates in your body. And the reason why I say that is because, I have asthma as well. And in my case, it is ancestral, because I knew some members of my family, because I'm adopted, but I knew my original family. And a lot of the members of my family have asthma or asthma related things. So for us, it is genetic for sure. But that doesn't necessarily, but I actually have it under like major control, like to the point where my doctor's like, it's almost like you don't have asthma anymore, because I worked on it so much. And the reason is, wherever you have whatever you have, the origin point of it may not be where it is. So for instance, if it's your asthma, your point of origin may not actually be in your lungs. It may actually be somewhere else in your body, but it manifests in your lungs. So for instance, like I said, if you have a thing with your lungs, the origin point, the energy that keeps it going could actually be stored like at your knee or in your back or somewhere in your aura, or the origin point could be in the past with your ancestors. So because you use cards, you can actually, or use your automatic writing or journaling or whatever method you would like to use to figure out where that energy origin point lives. Okay. And then you can go and hunt it down and get rid of it.
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Elle, for your question.
Yes, thank you all so much.
All right, great. Well, we are open to take more questions. If anyone would like to ask a question of us, we request that you pay first. And please just let us know in the chat that you're interested in asking a question, and we'll get you up here. Yeah, and those of you on the panel, while we're waiting for another question, are there any topics around this theme or anything like that you think it would be good for us to discuss?
I just wanted to honor about the past life, and my perspective is only one. There is too many perspectives, But this is what I noticed, that past life meets ancestral. Like, for example, you might have been a witch in Salem, a beautiful herbal medicine person that somebody decided you were a witch and they want to burn your life. And you perhaps you die in fire, and perhaps you develop asthma in this lifetime because you couldn't smell because of the smoke. Now you actually might reincarnate in a family that they might have the genetics of asthma, or they might have also an ancestral pattern where their village were burned and they develop, or they went in 9/11. I know one that was in 9/11, and it hurt them not only to breed them, but it actually hurt them to see how many people lost their life. That you see how that soul, it's carrying something that it needs to be clear from a past life into an ancestral lineage that has a similar soul lesson of life pattern. At the end of the day, as the person or the soul works through those lessons, it gets clear, not only because the person chooses to clear it for itself, if she has the awareness and the willingness and the openness, it's also clear for the ancestors. It's like two buy one get two, something like that. Buy one get two. That's what I wanted to connect a little bit between past life and ancestral healing, related through a little bit of my experience. I just wanted to honor that.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I was asking us any other, oh yeah, Lisa, go ahead.
So I have a question on the basis of asthma. I have only one member in my family that has asthma. Nobody else does. And I find it fascinating that Kai talks about how it's hereditary, and DoveLight talks about how it could be past life. The older brother that has asthma seems like an anomaly. Can anyone share any information about why that might be? Is it even worth discussing? Just curious.
Sorry, you said the older brother that has asthma? I missed, which older brother? Kai talked about in the family? Or you mean?
Yeah, I have two older brothers, and it's the oldest brother who has asthma.
Yeah, my brother. Well, go ahead, Kai.
Oh, sorry. I think that in his case, like, my sense of him is that he has, like, sometimes when you have asthma, it's like you can't breathe, you can't draw breath, you can't speak, you can't, so I think that that's a kind of a multifaceted thing, because either he felt like he was strangling, like he couldn't say what he needed to say, or that he was like constantly holding his breath. Like that's the sensation, because when you have an asthma attack, it feels like you can't get any air in, you can't get any air out. And so I think that's that could be what it is, and why, because the pressure in families is usually the worst on the oldest kid, because that one takes the hits for the other kids and is, the one that has to be the guinea pig for the parents while they're trying to figure it out. So that would be my guess, because your family has a lot of power. And so he probably internalized a lot, which then caused blockages and that kind of stuff. That's my guess. That's what I'm kind of, my sense of it is.
Go ahead, DoveLight.
And a little bit to piggyback on how you say it in English, piggyback on that, maybe perhaps for him clearing and attending to this asthma will, in a way, it might teach him how to protect himself, how to love himself, how to take care of himself, how to be gentle with himself, that he might not be able to learn that from others. So in a way, I'm not saying it's good that he has it, but perhaps in a soul level, he specifically has to learn how to be more mindful to himself, more slow down, and and this is why he also maybe has chosen to have it. And of course, he can might also as well choose to be healed. There is absolutely no doubt that he can be healed if he were to choose to be open. It can be healed, but I am sensing how this blessing in disguise might help him to understand things that he might not be able to understand through other means or other ways. So even in the family, and that it's very unique or specific for him.
Thank you, DoveLight. Yeah.
And I
I'd
have a
agree.
question. How would you say that your older brother is with anger? Like feeling anger and being able to say, no, I don't want that. Yes, I want that. Or like overblown, like aggression, or like, what's up?
I haven't seen him in many, many, many years. I remember he's 10 years older than I am. And so I remember him having repeated fights with my stepfather and then asking to have him sign off on an early release so he could go fight from Vietnam. So he is not a person who has the best self-care habits. So, but I remember having discussions with him on and off, as few as they were, about how, he was born with asthma and, he was just besieged with it his entire life. So that's what I know. But thank you. I just thought the whole anomaly of him being the only person in our entire family, extended family, having it, I just thought it was kind of curious.
Yeah, my brother had outrageously bad allergies, and I'm not familiar with my mom or my dad having them when they were younger. I didn't. But he was like allergic to everything. He was allergic to dust and grass and everything. Yeah. And he grew out of most of them, fortunately. But all right. Yeah. Any other topics? Any other topics you think it's good to discuss? Yeah, Elle was just saying no one else in her family has asthma either. DoveLight, yeah, go ahead.
I just love ancestral healing. I just love ancestral healing. It is good. It's like we put like a bonfire, pray, and open circle and call the ancestors. I'm telling you, it's so beautiful. I just wanted to honor Dia de los Muertos. It's a Mexican tradition because unless somebody has a question, then you cut me. Or if I go too much, you cut me. Because here in the USA, many people has put their eyes on that tradition, and some of them don't have like a relationship with their ancestor, and that's it's so beautiful and colorful and everything. So Dia de los Muertos comes from Mexico, and it's being expanded through all the Americas. And it is about honoring and remembering your ancestors from the other side, because in most ancient tradition, that is not the ending. It's just going to the other side of life. There is life after death. There is life after life. So what they used to do, they used to honor the bones and the skulls, and they used to put them in altars and bless them and just talk to them, because they believe that if you keep their memory alive, they will be happy in the other side. They also believe the fruits and vegetables has a life force, like an essence, and by preparing them, and they will be happy. They will be, oh, they are remembering me. So of course they will not take the physical object, they take the essence. So it is a beautiful tradition. We do it at the end of November the 1st, and it's basically to put an altar, which is a place of hearing and communication, and everybody is welcome to be part of this tradition if you do it with respect, if you honor that it's coming origin. This is specific Dia de los Muertos is coming from Mexico, and Dia de los Muertos is basically Day of the Dead, but in reality it's more like Day of the Ancestors. And what you basically do is that you put an altar with the favorite food of the people that you love that pass away. You talk in the altar with family about their story, the memories. It's about remembering. But the reason why it's everything colorful, candy, chocolate, tamales, everything, it's because they have this way to see life, death, and as something alive, so something cheerful, something beautiful. Of course, you have your moments of crying. You cannot deny grieving. But it is this balance between, yes, it's a grieving, it's a sadness, but it's also a joy and a blessing that they're still alive in the other side, they can still come and visit. So also about the Katrina, which is the symbol of the death, which is when people, I don't know, have you seen the Katrina when people paint their faces on white? They usually don't do it on October, on Halloween, because in Halloween you are just pretending to be somebody else. And Halloween has like a more fearful connotation. You have to dress up to scare people. And so we, out of respect for the tradition, we don't dress as Katrinas on Halloween 31st. We're doing November 1st and later, because the Katrina represents your ancestors. When you are actually painting your face, you are channeling one ancestor that you want to connect with, or you also are representing the dead, the spirit of the dead, because I think in most Western cultures, they associate death with fear, when in reality, death is just death. It's peaceful. It just comes and it goes. Of course, the trauma, the events when somebody died might be different for everybody. Some of them might be traumatic, some of them will be peaceful, some of them will be unexpected. But death is just what it is. It's an end of a cycle. Death per se is actually very peaceful. It's just what it is. It's like being born. So you are welcome to paint your face as a school to channel an ancestor and to feel their energy, or just to remember that death is part of life. So when you're dressing as a Katrina, you're also saying that we are all the same. At the end of the day, we're all going to become bonds. We're going back to the earth. So there is no matter what's your status, how much money you get, how many degrees you have, it is about oneness. At the end of the day, we're going back to the same place. So we only are to take the memories, what we live. That's the only thing we're taking, the memories in our minds and the love in our heart. So a lot of people take interest in that tradition, and you are very welcome to integrate it as long as you acknowledge where is it coming from. It's originally coming from Mexico, and you are very welcome to research on your own ancestry. Of course, in the Mexican tradition, they're gonna put tamales and they're gonna put cacao and corn. But if you are from another country or another tradition, please research, and you bring your own dishes, your own plates, and your own pictures. So I know if you want to learn more about that, you can watch the Disney movie called Coco, because they did really a good job with that, and it's just like they say. So I just wanted to honor that if anybody's interested in doing Dia de los Muertos this year, it's really, it fills my heart. I just love the tradition. Thank you.
That's great. You had me thinking about altars in general for connecting with our ancestors. And so you said like the food that they love. I'm just wondering like what other things might go in the go in the altar.
It might change by tradition. I'm sorry if I interrupt. It might change by tradition. Perhaps Guy might have something different, and somebody who comes from a Celtic tradition might have something different. But for the Dia de los Muertos in specifically, you can put salt, because salt represents clears the space. You put water, because water is the element of life. And every time you see a bubble coming, it's a spirit coming to visit. And you put sugar for sweetness, you put their favorite food, you put toys if there were kids, you put music if there was an uncle who liked music. It is what it is being part is you creating like a vortex of energy. It's the energy that you're creating while doing the food. It's the energy that you put in by doing the altar. It's the energy, because they are spirits. So in the incense and the smells, there's always gonna be sage, copal things, because the smell it's from a high vibration, but it's also non-physical. So they get to smell it, they get to and here, and I think it's the 30, the 30. It's the 30 to 31, when it's the day of the lost soul, when you only leave like a candle and salt and water behind the main front door for the souls of, if for the soul that nobody has to have nobody to pray for them. Like let's say somebody was killed in the corner by a car accident. I'm sorry about them, but you don't know them, or nobody prayed for them, nobody went for their body, you just leave them there so they pass. So you also acknowledge that.
Yep. Yeah, and I was asking in general, yeah, like what we put in an altar, but so we've got Kai and Lisa have things to share. Go ahead, Kai.
Yeah, in Hawaii we have like a similar type tradition, but it's not as elaborate as, you know, what you guys have in Mexico. But for us, what we will do is after someone has passed, or if we want to remember them, what we'll do is we'll buy like we'll make leis or flowers, and we'll actually take it out to the water and we'll like throw flowers in the water for them, and just, you know, and like say a prayer or talk to them, or you know, we don't usually do food because, you know, like Hawaiians, we don't waste food ever. So but you know, but we do sometimes very elaborate flower things that we will do for them. And sometimes, yeah, like you will have like a little ceremony on the beach or something, depending on, you know, whatever's going on, whatever your family tradition is. Sometimes you actually have like a full-on like barbecue on the beach kind of deal, and, you know, remember the, you know, the people that you've lost along the way while you're doing it. So it's more like a, most people do it like per family. It's not like this big festival thing usually. Like a couple of years ago, like a classmate of mine passed away, and her family did this whole thing where they hired a canoe club to take her ashes out to the ocean and like put it in the ocean, and then the family stood on the beach and just threw like a bunch of leis in the water for her, you know, just to say goodbye and all that. So yeah, we do something similar to that. And you can, what's nice about it is like you can do that at any time. So like the last time I went home, I actually bought a couple of leis and I threw that in the water for my mom. And so like you know, it's one of those things you can do anytime, anywhere. And you know, you don't have to worry about like it being eco-friendly and, you know, that kind of stuff, hurting the environment or things like that, you know, just flowers and just simple stuff. Then that's a good way to honor as well.
Great, thanks. Lisa.
Yeah, it's a burning question I've had for several months, and I've failed to ask, but I'm going to ask it now. Some of the stories that I have with my ancestors are delightful and powerful. My question is, what's appropriate to share publicly between what transpires between me and my ancestors? Is it appropriate to share my stories that I have experienced with my ancestors publicly, or should I just reserve it for, you know, close friends?
Well, I think your intuition and your sense of things matters. And then you can always ask your ancestors what you're allowed to share.
Yeah, I forget to do that.
And it sounds like, right, there might be some fear that's coming up in you about it. And so exploring what that fear is.
Well, I don't know that it's fear so much as it is respect, you know, for the ancestors and for the relationship that I'm building with them. But also, if I share some of these stories, am I inviting trouble?
And then the energy of how you share it probably matters a lot. The intention you have. Yeah, and Kai's got something to share.
Well, I think some of it is about timing too, you know, because it's like there's some stories that you can share immediately and others that they're like, nope, not now, because the time is not right. Because there are times when you say things at the right time for the right reasons. So, you know, it's not a matter of like you can't share it. It's just a matter of now is not the time. You know, sometimes it's about timing. Yeah, I mean, you know, because I've had lots of experiences with my ancestors, and a lot of times like things happen and I don't even think about it. And then something will happen and I'll go, oh yeah, there was that time about the blood, you know, and then that's when it comes up and that's when it's time to share it. So it's not like, I mean, there's some stuff that you'll know for sure. Like this is the kind of stuff you don't share. But I think it's sometimes it's more about timing than anything else.
Great, and Tammy's got something.
So the first word that came up for me was secrets, keeping secrets. keeping it under wraps, hiding it, things like that. That's kind of the impression I got. And then what I heard was bringing it into the light invokes healing for yourself and for others, and for your ancestors, and for other people hearing it, their ancestry. And and of course, all what everybody else has said too, timing, and whether you're supposed to or not, and asking, and all those things. But once you've decided to step into, once you've decided to share it, what to share, to step into it full on, no more secrets. I just keep hearing no more secrets and secret,
I'm sorry,
know,
Tammy, are you saying no more secrets? Is that what you're saying?
no more
No more-
secrets.
No more secrets.
No more secrets. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, but bringing it into, that's what I heard. Secrecy, keeping secrets, don't keep any more secrets. And I don't know, I feel that in my family too. It was like when I was, what's coming up to mind now is this little story when I was a kid. If like my parents didn't hear about it, if they didn't know that I did it, it didn't happen and it was okay. But if like you got your name in the paper, that was big no. There's just whatever you do, don't get your name in the paper. So yeah, and the shame, yeah, guilt and shame. Shame is a big one. So and think about that for yourself to do some journaling and thinking about why you don't want to share it, or you think you might not want to share it, or if you do, why you think that if you do share it, quote unquote, bad things might happen, and explore that as to where that's coming from within you. So that's
Is it coming from within you or outside? Like you may be sensing it from them, right? Or it may be just other people in your lives that have kept secrets. Like in your family, if you grew up in an environment, or like just a few generations back, there were lots of secrets. That may be part of why secret comes up for you. So I was distinguishing between secrets and sacred, right? So secret takes energy to hold and pulls energy down to me and wastes energy, and like it gets in the way of life energy, whereas sacred is different. And so that's why is what you're aware of, is it sacred, or is there something that's secret about it? So yeah, Tammy, I totally appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you, Tammy. The word sacred it resonates. It's very powerful. And so I just asked my ancestors if I could share this particular story because I thought it was incredibly powerful. And I think, yeah, so I think it might be helpful for others in the audience to hear this. One event when I am talking with my ancestors, I had one ancestor pull out this seed from inside me. It was like an essence of my soul. And she told me to plant it on my altar. And she gave me this image of a bowl of water. And many weeks prior to that, another ancestor had like gifted me this image of a gold coin. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And so through all of the change and everything that we have collected from around the world, we had a gold coin. I'm like, that's the gold coin. So I took that seed, the gold coin that represents the seed, and put it in water. And so every day I give it energy. And what was fascinating about this is that suddenly I could see this, they call it the prosperity seed. So for me, it's a prosperity tree, and it grows in my sacred place. And it also blooms here in my office. So it's in, 2 different dimensions. And every day when I go to my altar and give it energy, I see new things appear. Like the first time it was blue blossoms, the next time it was pink, another time it was white, then birds, then bells, then fae. And so it's just so wonderful to have this essence that I come to in love and gratitude every day, and just watch it bloom and grow and prosper throughout both dimensions. And I wanted to share that story because I thought it was so transformative. And also it not just keeps me grounded, but it keeps me connected with my ancestors. Like, hey, remember us over here, remember us, we really need to talk to you. So, from that standpoint, I feel like that was just a wonderful gift that they gave me that allowed me to kind of grow and plant roots, as it were, in my own space. So I really wanted to share that, and I hope somebody got some benefit out of it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. And DoveLight has something to share.
I was a little bit along when it says sacred, because many indigenous cultures, including mine, have like a story of being abused, killed, burned alive, enslaved, for having this connection with nature, these traditions. And it's and for many years we didn't share it with strangers or tourists because it was very sacred. And even we have history of certain religion, certain church, and trying to kill us to get the knowledge, because they couldn't understand it. They didn't know what to do with it. They just demonized it. So I was going along the lines that sometimes you will know when it's good to share. It just feels natural, and sometimes it's good to keep it private. I feel like there are things that we all have experience with ancestors or with the spirits or whatever. We believe that even if we explain it to somebody, they might not be able to understand it because it was not meant for everybody. There are things that are only meant for you, to make you believe, to know they are there. And there are other things or other examples when we're allowed to share. And I feel like you're on key point. You can ask your ancestors, you can get an offer, you can ask them, is this okay for me to share? Is this for my highest good to share? Because it's like our psychic abilities or a spiritual gift. We have them, we might pick up information, but not everybody will have the respect or to listen and will be able to understand it. Like, Mama, you saw a person passing by, or look at this, or the moon is stuck, or look at the alien or the UFO. They might not be able to understand it or to get it, and we might feel disappointed or even disrespect. So I guess that is where Tammy was talking about the sacredness to hold things for ourselves and the wisdom to know where to share them. I was strongly picking up in your ancestral lineage when you were talking how some of them, in a way, they needed to keep quiet because it was dangerous to speak. And they were showing me how you being so open to the public and how you being open in a business and being out of the closet, to say spiritually, you have this beautiful gift, how much transition and healing has been that. And again, just by being yourself and just by you talking about your coin of prosperity, it's a beautiful example of how the resources are there, the energies are there, the help is there, but we have to be willing to show up because it's a conversation of two. We talk, we ask, and then we listen, and they talk to us, and we are remembering to listen. So I'm very grateful you actually came up with this example. So thank you.
Great. All right. Well, we had a couple general questions too. What about ancestors that might be off planet or galactic? Yeah, go ahead, DoveLight. I love how excited you got, DoveLight.
Definitely, yes. I'm telling you, I don't put it in big words, but it's not a fun. It's just the ancestral healing is one of my passions, and I do love doing a lot of ancestral healing for me because I'm also learning them for others. Many indigenous cultures around the world, we have this legend, this myth about in the Celtics, they have these giants who used to came from the star. I don't remember the exactly name, but I have a lot of Celtic friends, and in one of my most beloved friends. In the Mayan cosmology, the four Balams, the four Jaguars, came from the stars, from the seven constellations. And in the north, we have the star people. In my indigenous cultures from the Andes in the south, they came from the Pleiades, and they always came to help us through challenging times like the Ice Age. In the Mayan, they came at the Ice Age to call upon the fire. And in my cosmology, they came to help form the human body, to design the human body with different DNA. So it is in the drawings, it is in the thing. So it is out in our cosmology, in our belief, that there are high beings, they were born before us. They're more older than us. They know more than us, and they come and help to create this planet, to create this garden through the power of Creator going through them. It's like your mother gives birth to you, whether it was God, Creator, or who create your mother, who create you. Again, it's like the duality of this planet of physical and non-physical. So the ancestors of the stars are the ones that help create humanity, help create this planet, help to design, if you will, and to move the DNA and this and that, and help us evolve. And it's like they're like our grandfathers from the stars. So that's why we say we came from the star, because our human DNA, it's been helped and made by these star beings. But at the same time, we all are part of this great spirit, of this great oneness. And I personally can say without no doubt, I have seen UFOs, I have seen aliens, I connect them through dreams. The question that I'm going to share something very special too. 2 years ago, I was very in a very bad depression. A lot of people were dying, but it was not my spiritual knowledge that they were dying. They were making me sad. Because of the pandemic and my health and certain things in my life, I couldn't travel to see them. And I really put me in a bad depression, but that I was meant to pass through because I needed to release a lot. And I went outside my house midday. It was before midday, yes, daylight in Staten Island, New York at that time. And I was really crying, and I say to myself, what the heck am I doing in this planet? Why am I doing here? What am I living for? And suddenly they asked me to pull up. They feel to pull up. And in front of me, before, I don't drink, I don't do alcohol, I don't smoke. I don't like that. I just don't. And I was not into UFO. I was not watching any ET movie. I was not reading anything about it. There's no reason why in my life I have to see that. And this big UFO came, and it showed itself with their neon lights, and they opened a portal in the sky. And just for them to make sure that I was seeing them, they did the infinite sign for a little while, and then it went back to its portal. And I was like, what? Not only they were very kind to bless me with healing me my depression, because my vibration was going too low and they wanted to raise it up, but it is my question that I asked for. What's my purpose? What am I doing here? And it has a connection with stars, with them. And I'm nothing special. I'm just like everybody else. But it helped me to understand the risk when you're meant to see or to connect or to contact with one of these. Is one, you have to be in the same vibration of them, because it's like a Wi-Fi, and you might be on another Wi-Fi, not because you're better or worse, it's just because you're meant to be in that vibration at the moment. But when you align with that vibration, you're actually able to interact with them. Most of us do it through dream work if we have a connection with it. It's not random. And I also came from a background when we have stories that we came from the start, but at that time it was real. It was midday. I was lying. I was not drunk or anything. So they were reminding me that I have something to do in this planet. I might not know exactly what it is, but I do have something to do, and they're watching over us, and there are our ancestors, and they are here for us. And I just wanted to share that, because at least from our perspective, there is absolutely no doubt that we are one. Working with ancestors, blood and bones, spirituals, past life ancestors, your stars, creator, it's about going back to that oneness. It's the connection that we have. So thank you.
Great. Anyone else want to share anything about that? About off the earth ancestors? I just say, why not? Yeah, I think of some practitioners that, like you, just would be so connected in that way, and so know that, yeah, about their history. Yeah. All right, great. And then let's see, and then another question too is, what about like the person, what future tense being or existence, or like a successor? instead of an ancestor, someone connecting to the energy of the future and the beings of the future. Does anyone else want to say anything about that? Yeah, DoveLight, you can too. I just want to, yeah.
I get excited, but I don't want to be disrespectful. In the planet Earth, we have past, present, and future because it makes sense. We need to pay the rent. We need to know when we're gonna have to pick up our children. We need to know when is the next meeting. But we actually, in reality, in a constant present. Right now, this is the future of our grandfathers, of the people in the past, because it's again, it's the oneness, it's the constant presence. So if the question, if I might understand it correctly, it's what about the future ancestors? It's our children's, our descendants, and us, because we are the ancestors for them, and we also are the ones that ancestors pray for us to have. There is no doubt that if you are in your specific lineage with the things that you pass through it, everything in a way has been planned. Everything happens for a reason. Nothing happened by coincidence. And this is the gift that someone like you was needed to be born in the specific ancestral lineage in order to raise the vibration, in order to heal it, in order to move it forward. And it might look different for many of us. It might look different between lineages, but again, going back to loving yourself, allowing yourself to heal, do the best you can, do the things that you love. It's healing those past generations. You know, we are right now the future. We are the ones who can talk about it without being burned in the stake, you know, or something on that line. This is a gift. How before we used to hide in the cave for people to don't, I don't know, kill us. Now we have Zoom. We can connect international. We are the future, or the ones that our ancestors pray for. We are the new generation, and okay. They're telling me to say something. They're telling me to remember about the future. And this is something that it's not only me. It's many indigenous culture around the world. The ancestors or the elders always think about the future generation. They don't take any predominant choice without thinking about the future generation. They always think about the waters. How is this going to affect the kids? How is this going to affect the crops? What are we leaving behind? So they're telling me that in a way, when we're thinking or caring about the future generation, is to be conscious when we're making these choices. And if you don't feel that you're in a position to make a big change, remember that your money counts. You're voting with your money, to choosing to support companies or support fair trade, that actually fair trades, to do your research if it's like eco-friendly, sometimes or buy more organic, or support local farmers. You feel like you might not doing a lot, but little bit by little bit, we actually making a big impact for a future generation. Perhaps you might not be the owner of a oil company who can, decide stop, creating pollution on this planet, or store a solar tree, but you can choose where are you voting with your money for the future. That's something little we all can do. And they're telling me, because when we're thinking about the future ancestors, it's all about what are we leaving to them for the blink of an eye of life that we have at this moment. That's why they're saying. And again, if you feel that you want to connect more with this, find your local natural place, your local park, your local beach, your local place. Bring an offering, anything that simple. An offering can be elaborate or can be very simple. It's the energy and the intention that you're living. Present yourself to the land. I'm going to live in this land for so many years, or I don't know. My name is so and so. I just want to give my respect and permission. This is actually that we have in my culture, that we give an offering to the land, and we tell that we greet. Basically, we greet the neighbor. We give them a drink. We make fruit. We make whatever it feels cool for you. And then they get to know you, they know you, then the doors start opening, you start meeting good people, the bosses come on time, you feel safer. It's like, I can explain how this works, but the land listens to you. So I hope that answered your question.
Great, thanks so much. Kai's got something to share, and we've got another question, just a general question after that too.
Yeah, just want to go at this in a different kind of way, like in terms of energy. you know, sometimes as you can reach back into the future for the energy that's there, you can actually reach forward a bit for the energy as well. So for instance, if you are working on something currently and you're like, yeah, I don't know how this is going to go, just kind of follow the energy of it, like into the future a little bit, like 5 months, 5 years, whatever time you want to follow it, and just kind of get a feel for what it's like there. And if you feel like, okay, I'm doing this well, it's going good, then you know that you can continue, and that's ultimately where you're going to end up. But if you start something and you follow it out and you're like, yeah, I don't know, maybe it's not the right thing, and then you can kind of make the changes now that can then alter how things will go in the future. I mean, of course, you know, we can't predict the future, nothing is written in stone, but you can at least get a feel for it. Like, is this really where I want it to be? This is really where I want it to go. So you can do that energetically. You can go as far out as you want to. You know, you can roll out 20 years from now and just kind of, like, based on this circumstance, on this thing that I'm working on, what is the energy of it 20 years from now? And then just feel it. Like, does that feel good? Does that feel bad? Does it feel like maybe I should have done something differently? You know, how does that work? And then you can actually change stuff up to depending on what you want to do with it and where you want to go.
Great, thank you. Lisa's got something to share.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback off what Kai was saying. When you're at that state that you're trying to figure out if something is going to go well, I also look at it as a little bit of quantum shifting, where if I want to become, let's say, a better public speaker, I look to my future self and I look to her as to how she has manifested the confidence to be on stage and to talk to people and to visit that essence and to visit all the senses of the essence of her, right? What is she eating? What is she wearing? How does she feel? How does she smell? In all of those senses, to really help embody what it is you want to become. And then you can bring it back to your present life and then meet her through that process of manifesting over time. And it could be 6 months from now, it could be 6 years from now, but that's an option to take a look at if you want to build a better future for yourself and you're feeling kind of iffy about that path that you want to go down. It might be an option for you. Yeah, and I think just a keynote on what DoveLight was talking about. Growing up, my dad always said to me, leave the place better than you found it. So I don't care if, you know, you arrived in your dorm room and it was filthy. You make sure that you clean it up and you leave it better than you found it. And that has stuck with me. That's been one of my major tenets growing up and getting older as I move through and navigate this world and my footprint, right? Just trying to leave a smaller and smaller footprint and, you know, plant flowers along the way.
Great, great. Let's see. So another question that, yeah, so Tammy was suggesting we address. This is great. What are examples of ancestral items that need to be cleared or healed for people to more easily cross over? Or even I just say to open the flow of the lessons to come forward and all kinds of things. Yeah, what are examples of things to heal or clear and like how we do that? Anyone else have anything first? I just want to check. Let's have Kai share first this time, and then yeah, we have DoveLight.
For me, like, one of the primary things that I end up helping people clearing is just fear. Because we go back and we'll speak to the ancestor and, you know, we'll ask them like, okay, well, why haven't you crossed over yet? Like, what is the issue? And they're like, they'll say stuff like, we can't cross over because if we do that, then, you know, it'll be a disaster and the whole family will suffer. And, you know, it's all that kind of stuff. Or it's, like a grudge, like a really old grudge, like, oh, I can't cross over because, you know, if I do that, then, you know, these people are going to get away with all this kind of stuff and it's never going to end. And, you know, the persecution of our family, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of times what gets them to cross over is just telling them, yeah, that was relevant when you were alive, but now you're dead. And all this fear and your grudges and the things you hate are holding back the rest of the family because everybody else is carrying that burden as well. So if you are willing to let go of it and just pass through, then that's healing for the rest of the family. Like I'm sure that the reason that you're staying is because you're trying to prevent something, but in essence, you're actually causing something. So if you will let go of it, then the rest of us can be free of it as well. And that's usually what gets them to cross over. The other thing is just their personal fear of crossing over to the other side. I mean, I've met a lot of people who are stuck and they're like, I don't want to go because they're afraid they're going to go to hell or something. And I was like, yeah, it's possible because that's what you believe, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is true. And you won't know till you get there. And what I usually do is I open the door and I call for the ones who have passed and I ask them to come and be with that person. And then they get to see their relatives. They get to see their loved ones on the other side. And then that's what helps them go. But yeah, the big ones for me are always like fear, anger, like grudges, things like that. Those are the things that need to be healed. So then that way the rest of the family doesn't have to carry them.
Great, thank you. Great, I know. So DoveLight had something else to share. Does someone else have something to share? Go ahead, DoveLight.
Can you repeat the question? I think I heard items.
Sure, it's what are things that we need to heal or clear so that ancestors can pass? And I'm just saying also so that their lessons can come through the future. So however
Okay. I feel like it definitely depends on the person. Usually it depends on the patterns of the person. Why do they feel like something is repeating, or it could be physical, mentally, emotional. It generally can be different. And what I notice, the thing that usually doesn't change is that it start with something in yourself. For example, let's say that you want to heal, like you don't hold enough money, and when we are tracking, it might have absolutely nothing to do with money. It might have to do with a wife who didn't want to be married to a man, and she was forced to marry to a man because of the social status and things like that. And it was that she couldn't see herself or be herself. And when she's able to acknowledge and it's giving a voice to the voiceless. And when she's able to express that, and perhaps that woman was from a rich family, and the social status was most important at that moment. And she was a woman, and women perhaps were not acknowledged in the society at the time. So it's like tracking. In my experience, is generally the only thing that doesn't change that is not expected. Like, for example, when I met this woman she was holding so much resentment. She was confusing me with herself. My own ancestor was confusing me with herself. She got confused, and I received the most deep healing from my heart to not be able to hold resentment, because I have never ever been able to hold resentment the same way that I used to do. And I didn't go to heal this ancestor. I didn't go to heal my heart for resentment. I went for something completely different. And so to me, it's generally a feeling or a curiosity of like, perhaps it's this ancestor, perhaps it's mine. But it's usually a pattern. People come with pattern. Like, I noticed that my brother was an alcoholic, and my father was an alcoholic, and my grandfather was an alcoholic. And I'm not an alcoholic, but I'm getting my liver sick from cirrhosis. And I don't understand this way it's happening. And we might work on the anger and the liver, and then we find out the original ancestor who became an alcoholic was raped, or his father abandoned the mom. Oh no, they put him in boarding school, and right now he's affecting the family. But you went to heal your liver. Now we're working with acknowledging an abuse that happened to a man. So what I say to you, it is an inner feeling that you feel that something is going on, but you cannot explain it. And again, it might be from past life, it might be inner life, inner ancestral. It usually are related. Trust me, it's not coincidence that you are in a specific lineage for nothing. It's a reason. And so what I'm saying is that if you notice that there is a pattern of depression, or there's a pattern of not having enough money, or it's a pattern that you're always single, or there is a pattern that you always call a narcissistic person, but you don't understand it, or every time you go to a job, there is a specific person who picks on you. So it might be something involving your present life, but most likely it is also that it's like a tracking. It's like we call it the jaguar. We're tracking the energy field. We're going to speak with that person. We are acknowledging, we are reunited. Sometimes you just need to reunite the person they love with the other person they're missing. Sometimes they need to figure it out or talk for that thing to untangle to the present. So my answer will be expect the unexpected. But if you generally feel that there is something that keeps coming into your life, like it's too much, it's too obvious, the coincidence is too obvious, then I would recommend if you choose to explore an ancestral healing like that. But then again, that cannot happen if you don't become aware of yourself, if you don't check with yourself, if you don't have listening practices, because then you're always gonna pass life like that, But if you're present in your presence, if you dedicate time to get to know yourself, you're gonna notice these things,
Great, thank you. Tammy, please share.
So I would like to ask the other practitioners if they've run into this for actually people that are still living that are kind of like holding on and have it not wanting to pass over. So have you ever run into someone that thinks that they're holding sacred space for the family by being here, and continuing on? And what do you think about that? What are your thoughts about that? And then also, you're like too strong to die, and this afraid that they're going to be missing out on something if they do.
Go ahead, Kai.
I've never actually come across someone who feels like the anchor of the family, like they've actually said that, but I know people who are like that they're like, I am the center of the family and I'm holding all this stuff together and blah blah blah. And in a way that's good, because you're holding on to the family traditions, but then there are other things that you're holding on to as well. And like I think some people will recognize when they're holding on to things that should have been let go a long time ago. But but there are some that don't. And for those people, unfortunately there's not really anything you can do about that, on a personal level. I mean, if it's something like major, like for instance, I don't even know what that would be, like something that you consider like a really big thing. At that point, like what I would do is I would actually talk to that person's higher self and just see if I can get some communication started that way. And then hopefully whatever we can come into through the higher self connection, that it would then filter down to the physical person, who then it starts to reflect on what they're holding on to that they should not be, and then hopefully loosen it up in that way. That's how I would approach it.
And DoveLight's got something to share.
I love Kai. I should have a session with Kai. I think so. She knows what she's talking about. In my perspective, what I noticed that a lot of really high evolved souls, they have volunteer. I don't want, again, like I was saying at the beginning, I don't want to call the word sacrifice, but they do come in, are born in very challenging situations, really terrible situations. Because they're so high evolved, which is mean that they just carry a strong spiritual essence, a strong spiritual life, they are able to overcome and or pass through. They have the possibility by living human experience to be able to heal and pass it and overcoming. And by healing and overcoming and learning from it, they are healing their ancestral lineage because they're becoming a light within the ancestral heal. And sometimes these people or these beings that when you're a kid, you're innocent. And I'm not saying that everything that happened to you is your fault because you choose it. I'm not saying that at all. That please, I don't want to do that. But in a spiritual level, in a higher level, you might choose an ancestral lineage that might be very coarse or very challenging, very not in a good state, because by you coming into this web of life, because of who you are as a unique divine being, because of where you are at this moment in your soul journey, you can heal it and you can shift it so the next generation have it less and less words to say it. I'm not saying that you completely can eradicate their personal soft lessons, but they have it more easier. And I generally have witnessed this in many cases and people. And what noticed that the soul came to learn in this planet by volunteer to do that, not only to move humanity forward, but because when you pass through the darkest part of life, you learn a compassion and a wisdom that you cannot gain through books. So many people who have survived abuse or have survived parents were addicts or narcissistic and that, they develop a special sense of sensitivity. And if they because they carry this life and there is a high possibility that they will move forward, they develop this compassion and this humbleness that you cannot obtain in books, you cannot obtain in courses or in trainings. This is a wisdom that it's precious, but because this world it's of the dark and the light, the physical and not physical, the moon and the sun, the light and the light, from a normal human personality perspective, we might not be able to understand, why did I choose that mother? Why did I choose that father? I wanted to have a normal child, at least a safe childhood. I don't want it to be betrayed by my husband. I don't want it to, I don't know, my child to be this and that. Why did my son die in that car accident? So I'm not denying the pain. I'm not denying the suffering because it did happen. But in a spiritual level, there is this possibility of growth and expansion that goes beyond what we might have if we just have a peaceful or regular life, to say a typical, well, I don't believe there's such a thing as a typical life, but I'm not saying that if you did have this type of life, is something wrong with you. Perhaps we have all different life lessons. We all are learning a different way. We all are in a different vibration. We are moving forward our own time. Nobody is better or worse than anybody. It's just it helps you to understand that in your uniqueness, there is it's like a diamond. We came in these situations that are like rough, like black and everything dirty, and as we bring in this light, this healing, we are choosing ourselves among whatever happening to us. We start shining, and that light, it's what heals the ancestral healing. It was heals the future. And I have a specific example of that. Yes, thank you. So content. And I was this is what I said, I love you so much, because I was actually picking up the word soul contracts. And for example, in my family, my twin, if I still have time, my twin died in the womb because my father was hitting my mom not so nicely. And we both were meant to come together because we're meant to do spiritual work, like as a teamwork. And because of my brother protect me in a soul level. I always feel abandoned, and I couldn't heal that with past life. I couldn't heal with either. I couldn't find with nothing. And I'm gonna give you an example of the patterns. When I used to be a kid in kindergarten, there were twins. I went to vacation in a town where there were only twins. When I moved to New York, the first time in Brooklyn, in my high school, there were twins, and I fell in love with one. When I went to my community college to learn English, there were twins. And the last year, I spent a lot of time communicating with my friend, who is also a twin. This is what I meant to say when there is a pattern in your life that can help you to understand ancestral healing. Why the energy of the twins is very specific for me. It's because my mom lost a twin who was meant to come with me in the wound of feeling abandoned or betrayed. It happened. How did we do? We gotta go to a soul level to talk to them, and I needed to hear from them what happened. And he explained to me. And I actually was also doing mediumship, and he kept coming to the mediumship circle. So I was getting validation from many different mediums. And also myself, that he chose not to come to this world because he was gonna come with special needs. And he probably was going to commit suicide because we really had a really challenging childhood. We really had it really hard. And probably he said that he was not able to support, and if he chose to come, he will probably commit suicide as a teenager, and he didn't want to live as with a disability. So he chose to leave, to break up the soul contract, and in exchange, I took the part of the suffering and the third lessons and the clearing. So I took too much karma, if you say, or too much thing for him, and it was one of the things that it caused me to let go, because I was so into my paper of this is only what I know, this is only what I did, this and that it took like a cocotazo, a notch from heaven to really help me to move. And I'm still working to move out of there. And this is true about soul contracts. Your higher self know, your souls know. And even if I sign a soul contract to help this family lineage to learn this and that, and if I sign to do it for my brother, which I still love and I'm still connected in the other side, you are able to end that contract if you have the awareness to do so, because nobody forced you to sign anything before coming to this planet. It is your spirit, your love, your service. When you enter this planet, of course, many things can happen. Nothing is written in stone, even though there are things that they're part of your destiny, but nobody forces you, because everything is a learning experience. So the same way that your higher self choose to sign up for this mom and this dad, do you have the ability to change the soul contracts or to end it if it's for your highest good, if it's gonna keep helping you growing and that. But again, how are we going to know about it if we're not connected with our spirituality, with our oneness, with our energy, guys? And so I just wanted to honor that yes, we sometimes might take too much, more than what we need. But if I was not into doing the things that I love, which is spirituality, tarot cards, energy healing, I will not be able to be guided in that path. So whatever love might be for you, please keep going. Okay, I'm done.
Great. I love your passion. I just had a simple response, Tammy, and then I know if there's something else you want to share about it, then I want to have us be finishing up. So I was thinking about whether the person is really holding that space. Oh, Afina has a question. We didn't get a question. Do you have a general question? You want to ask a specific question? Your energy, you had your video on earlier, and I was wondering. You're muted. Let me get you up here and let's figure out what's going on. All right.
I think so. DoveLight was talking about when you've had like a particularly rough life and like a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. And so I guess my question is, like, as a woman of color, I never was really allowed to like dive into spirituality, right? Like it's kind of like a religious thing, I guess, like growing up. in just like a really just Christian household and like a Black family. Like it was always like, you know, you're going to hell. Like this is like, you know, like you go to hell. Like it's really serious. Like, and it, from my background, but I also suffered a lot of like pain and neglect and trauma. And so how do I heal that? Like how do I heal that from my ancestors? I have a lot of trouble hearing them. And I always just kind of like dismissed it like as them just being inside me, and like maybe there's just so much trauma, like they can see the work that I'm doing, and so it's being healed that way. So I guess my question is, how do I tap in more? Like my ears have been ringing so loud for like a year now, like so loud to the point like I went and got my ears checked. I went and had hearing tests done. And I just want to know like how to connect with them better and how to heal that deep, deep trauma.
Thanks so much for your question. Yeah. All right, Kai, go ahead.
Well, the first thing I would say is that I would go at it slowly, because what you're asking is actually something really huge. It's a huge thing, because I mean, I know the first time that I went to go do my ancestor healing, I like literally cast out and I said, okay, I just want to see everybody who's stuck and has a problem. I looked out and there were literally hundreds of people. And so there was no way that I could do all that at once. So, you know, what you're trying to do is actually like a really huge thing. So what I would say is work on the small things first. Like the thing with your not being able to, that you know, ringing in your ears, like to me that's like your guides and your ancestors are trying to, like, they're trying to get through to you. You know, so what I would say at this point is communicate with them directly and say, okay, this thing that you're doing with my ears isn't working. So can you find another way to communicate with me? Like have it be through other people, or have it be through signs, or have it be through dreams, or whatever other method. Because it's like the ringing in the ears, a lot of people get that. I can't tell you how many people have said, you know, I keep getting this ringing in my ears and I don't know what they're trying to tell me. And it's like, okay, then ask them, like just tell them, like, it's not working for me, like for whatever reason. Like don't associate or attach any shame to it, or what's my problem, or nothing like that to it. It's just like it doesn't work. Like just find something else. There are a million ways to communicate. Find another way. You know, whatever's comfortable for you. Sometimes, like for me, like, you know, I hear my guides all the time. Like they're chattering so much that most of the time I ignore them, truth be told. But when they want me to know something, they'll have it come through like another person. Sometimes it's like people need to tell me the same thing like 3 times, and I'm like, oh, okay, got it. That's how slow I am. Sometimes it takes like 3 people to tell me stuff before I figure it out. So for you, that's the place, I would say that's the place to start. It's if you want to, you can do like an automatic writing session or a journaling session and just write at the top, what is it that you want me to know? And then just start writing whatever comes out of your head. Like it doesn't even matter if it makes sense or not. Just write whatever comes out. And then what I usually tell people is once you've like kind of dumped out the answer, close the book, walk away from it for a few minutes, and then come back and read it, just so that you've had that perspective of time. And then you can like, oh, okay, I know what that means, or I get what that's important. I know what that's related to. And then you can take it from there. But, you know, baby step this thing out, because it's huge. This thing that you're working on is huge. And it's not one of those quick fix things. It will take you, this is like a year's job kind of deal. Like it'll like forever. You know, I mean, I started this working with my ancestors a while back, and I'm still kicking them out, trying to get them to cross over. So it's not something that's going to be solved in a day or a week or a month.
Thank you, Kai. DoveLight's next, and then Lisa.
Yeah, I generally feel that we all have come to this planet to keep growing and expanding. So I'm not saying it's your case, because it's not at all, but I see these people that get caught up in the healing journey. Like, okay, I did my past life. What's next? My soul retrieval. I'm not feeling happy. Let me do my ancestral. No, let me read tarot cards and do that. When are you going to allow time to integrate? When can you acknowledge that you are perfect exactly the way you are? And we all have moments that we have down and up, but it's the most simple things that can help you and heal you. And when you're ready, the divine, your ancestor, your spirit guide will guide you. You will not pass through anything that you are not ready at the moment. And that is true in many cultures, that we have this saying that everything that happens to you is for a reason. And if you will not be able to overcome or pass it, you will not be passing it at this moment. And I feel like with your ancestral healing, I'm picking up very strongly to connect with the land. I genuinely feel that you did have ancestors that were working with dancing on the land and the drummings, and that will be a simple way to connect it. However, it's very important that you have a strong connection with whatever you believe, like your faith and your trust, because sometimes we cannot romanticize shamanism. Sometimes the people who are meant to work the spiritual path get really sick, get the worst out of the worst, get so much tragedy. And so we don't want to romanticize that. If you do have the faith and the trust and you are with the divine, whatever that means for you, it's going to be, you're going to have the support to pastor, you're going to have the support of your ancestors. So I'm picking up very strongly that there is forgiveness to be done. The ancestors, I'm picking up that there is like something that needs to be forgiven. And I'm picking up a woman who is crying for a baby. I think somebody lost their baby when they bring the slaves to this. They even showing me right now in Let's Ground. I'm picking up very strongly like motherhood energy that lost their kids because they were transported and separated, and that's very predominantly right now in the energy field of you at the moment. And crying the tears of your ancestors will help them release, but you also have to have this compassion, this balance, this support. Like Kay was saying, this can be so many things that you generally have to have the support, the trust, and the faith. When we're healing on the emotional level, we have to feel it. We have to feel it, but you don't have to repass through the traumas. You can do it in a safe place. You can do it with somebody that you trust. But very strongly will highly recommend you to work on forgiveness. Even if you see any pattern that you need to forgive in your life, will be connected to your ancestors. Oh my God, they're showing me somebody in the park giving some offerings with smoke, some type of smoke to the land. Like they used to pray to the land. So they're telling me to one thing that will help you to build this beautiful. They tell you are already very connected, you're very spiritual, but going to nature, feeling your feet in the ground. And when you call out to your spirit and guides, your ancestors to protect you, you can put drum music, or because you have to be surrounded by protection too. You can dance with the drums in nature, touching the trees, feeling the connection. Start building that strongly. I personally start connecting with my ancestors through my dreams. They used to come all the time, and but I start having a relationship to paying attention to my dreams. So that's also a good way to come, because we have to be willing to listen. And if you don't feel like you're listening with your ears, then listening with your heart. Listening with your heart can mean feeling emotions, seeing colors, asking, meditating, and learning how to trust your communication with it. Ask them, please give me a sign, it's you. So that is definitely motherhood energy very strongly needs to be, they will be beneficial to clear at this moment, if you will. So thank you.
Thanks, DoveLight. Lisa.
Hey, Afina, I'm going to be really quick here, but I just wanted to resonate what Kai said earlier. She took my answer, by the way. And that was the one tiny answer, which is I love automatic writing and dream journaling. And whenever you're looking for answers, right, it's
if dreaming is easier for you, keep that dream journal, because the more symbols that come through, the more that you write down. And that's when your ancestors and spirit guides are like, okay, she's paying attention. We'll start talking to her through her dream journal. Automatic writing is very similar in that you can ask a question before you go to sleep. And then, tell your spirit guides, please, hit me over the head with the imagery. I need to know, and please make me remember when I wake up. So when you're just coming out of that hypnagogic state, you get your pencil, don't worry about the pen, get a pencil and just start writing. If you've ever done automatic writing, or have you ever done automatic writing, Nafina? No? Okay. So you can get a set of headphones and play some binaural beats, and that's going to help. It's going to help clear your head, and it's going to help take both hemispheres of your brain and get them synced. So that way there's like this 10% of frequency that allows your spirit guides to come in and start talking to you. So when you get in that space, just start one word by the next to create a sentence, then that will create a message for you. And so when when your ears start ringing like mine do, before I used to say what, but I wasn't that intelligent to then manifest the message that they were bringing to me. That's when automatic writing came in and said, okay, I hear you, let's get down to business. So that is a really strong practical way. And then what's fun is if you do this every morning, automatic writing, then you may find in a couple of weeks that the channeling just starts naturally, and that it's not that you no longer need automatic writing because you're going to want to take notes to go back and refer to, but it's just a gateway of channeling to start talking to your spirit guides. And like DoveLight, I got a really strong sense of earth, but what I got was plants and soul tree. Are you familiar with your soul tree?
No,
Okay.
I'm not familiar with that. I
Okay.
did want to say real quick about when you're talking about automatic writing. I've been having a lot of dreams, like a repeating dream,
Yeah.
like where it's like day 2 or like I'm literally traveling somewhere and like living another life at night. And so I think I will start doing that, like at least writing the details of what is happening, or
Yeah.
it's like over and over again, like someone is trying to show me something. Or tell
Yeah.
me something.
Yeah. And there are ways that you can play with that and then start getting into lucid dreaming so that you could start figuring out how to change things if you need to change them. And then later on, you can check in to see if your spirit guides are with you. And that's more journeying. But yeah, start with a journaling, right? And but yeah, the soul tree, it's a wonderful way to ground yourself. So when you do go into your landscape, you can connect with your soul tree and you can ground and get messages from your soul tree, which is a wonderful way to start exploring the other side. So that was really all I wanted to share with you. But yeah, just to kind of reinforce what Kai and DoveLight were saying. So best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Tammy's next.
Hi, Fina. I just feel a lot of overwhelm. I just feel, all of this information is very, very overwhelming, and to just sit and take a few deep breaths, and to, when you're doing the writing and things, just to say, what is this step? What's this step right now? And just stay in the now moment, and try to stay in the now moment as much as possible instead of, getting overwhelmed with, 20 things or whatever, but just, and go back and look through your notes and what is this now step, either by pulling a card or by, when you're journaling, say, what does my soul want me to know now? And just, and take it one step at a time. One small step at a time, so it doesn't get too overwhelming. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Hey, and I've got like 2.5 things. So one is, in addition to automatic writing, I encourage you to do automatic sounding or automatic singing. So just let sound come out of your mouth, your voice, your throat, just whatever sound wants to be here. It might be in the form of what you call singing, and it might just be sounds. And so it had me think a bit about light language. and coming through you, but just whatever wants to come through. You can have whatever intention. It can be, right, connected with your ancestors and whatever sounds are here. So yeah, that's one thing. And then the second thing is your dog that recently passed. I think that your dog can help you connect with your ancestors. Is it she? Yeah, I feel like she's able to flow and play in that space more, and it can be a connection for you.
Yeah, I was curious about that, like how I connect with her, how I can connect with her, and how, like, is she with my ancestors, or I just recently lost my first dog. She was this little 7-pound Pomchi, named Autumn Rain, and she was the first example I ever had of pure love and unconditional love. And she changed my life, and I made a little altar of her next to my bed. And so, I really was wondering about that. Like, how can she be there? Is she there too?
Yeah, when I connect with her energetically, I see her like running around and feel her running around. And so I don't know if you do when you connect her energy. That's a way that you would be connecting already.
I haven't been able to since she passed. It's still really new. And so I feel like she was still around the house for a while. It's only been a couple weeks, 3 weeks now. So, but like I have her dog bed with me all the time, and I have her altar next to my bed. So I'm really hoping that she'll be here and maybe I can connect with her soon.
I went and got Ursula because Ursula is about the same size. So this is Ursula. And yeah, so I was just thinking about you cuddling some form, whatever it is, of her and feeling like you're cuddling her. Yeah.
Can
And
I
then
say,
also, sorry, Zoe, no, sorry. And then also, just thinking about you. Do you know how much you weighed when you were born? Because I thought she was pretty tiny. Yeah, because I don't know if you were 7 pounds, if you were more than 7 pounds or less than 7 pounds, but imagining little you and holding little you and cuddling little you. And to me, that's just healing some of the things from this life that will help you connect with your ancestors and all your intuition.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and if anyone has anything else to share about that on the panel about for Afina and connection with her dog, feel free before we finish up. Go ahead, DoveLight.
I generally feel that you hit it on point. There was a soul contact for this dog to help you to heal your heart and to remember that you can love, you can receive love, you can feel loved. And I'm really sorry about your love, and that's absolutely normal for you to grieve the time that you might need to grieve. But it was absolutely nothing to do with you or your fault. You have nothing to be guilty or feel guilty about it. It's general time to go. Then you generally give it the best you could do. Like, it was so loved that you will definitely see it through your meditation, through your guidance. And one day in the future, when it will be your time to go back to the ancestors one or to the other side, it will definitely be there for you waiting, because your love was so genuine, so strong, so there, it will never die. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And it's very easy to connect to the other side. We're generally just one thought away, one imagination away. You can even just close your eyes and feel the energy and remember the loving type, and it's already there. It's that easy. It's that easy. But please allow yourself to feel what you're feeling at the moment. But just know that the connection is there, and you don't need to do anything much. Then just be willing to feel this present and listen. That's it.
Great, thanks. And Lisa put something in the chat too about how to call with how to connect with your pets. I just sent you an email, so you have the link.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah, you're
you.
welcome. All right, let's see. So then Kai is next.
Yeah, I just want to say that, yeah, I feel like your dog's energy is still around you. Right now, it's just that it's hard to feel anything else because you're still dealing with the grief of everything. And, you know, that can be like super overwhelming and kind of block out everything else. But I also feel like, you know, the dog is like running around. Like the dog is like all over you, is what it feels like. The dog is like jumping on the bed and running down the hall and all that. Like I feel all that. So it's just like once you get past like that overwhelming feeling of loss and you start to like, you know, you feel all that and you release all that, then you'll be like, oh, there you are. I see you. There you are. And so, you know, it's like the dog is still there with you. It's like she has not left you. She's just kind of waiting for you to, you know, kind of process through the fact that, you know, you can't actually pick her up, but she's still there.
Her name was Autumn Rain, and it says in the chat what's her name, and it was Rain, like the princess, Reign, and she wore little dresses, and she looked like a little like she was a tri-colored little like black with like she had white, and she was just very princessy like her mom, and she loved everybody and everybody loved her, and she was just a little healer like me, you know, just like, and she just wanted to love everybody, and I'm so honored that I got to experience that here, you know. And I think that's why I feel it so deeply, because I've never had anything love me that way, right? Just like want to lick the tears right out of the tap, right? Literally, she would just, I could feel her like when I was crying, she'd just be right here, like licking them right out the tap, you know? And so, thank you so much. Thank you.
No. And Tammy's got a little bit more to share with you too, if you can receive a little bit more. Okay.
So it's just to feel what you, as the others were saying, to feel it, what you feel as deeply as possible, you know, and to allow yourself to feel that, but then to move forward and to allow yourself to love again, you know, not to put up barriers around you, to stop any love in the future, if that makes sense, to try to, she wants you to be able to love again, and she wants you to be able to move forward, and you just to be able to love again and accept that love again. Blessings to you. Sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She's really special. So, and it's really weird because I just ended a 12-year relationship and I'm crying so much more over the dog than I am the man.
You had some time grieving. You had some time grieving the loss of the man, and the loss of your dog was so sudden, and your heart was so open.
Yeah. Yeah. I've lost children. I lost a baby at 21 weeks. And I got sepsis and almost died myself. I see someone in the comments, I didn't get to read it all. I lost that, but I feel like this hurts so much more and I don't understand that. And I'm a mom of 7, you know, so I'm so maternal. I have 7 children and grandchildren. But this to me was just, I don't know, it was different. It was so different and so special. So thank you so much, everybody, panel, for your time and your love and your care.
You're so welcome. Thanks for letting us support you.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Yeah, we're here doing important things together. All right. Well, I'm going to put the information in the chat again about how to share your feedback with us about today. And if you'd like, we'll put you in a drawing for a free 30-minute session with one of us of your choice. And we've got lots of upcoming events too, but let's have you hear about the practitioners that have been here on the panel today, and I'll put their information in the chat again as well. Maybe let's go in, what was our reverse order? Have Lisa share, and then Tammy, and then DoveLight, and then Kai. So go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you, Laureli. Hey, Mystics. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. I'm Lisa Stewart of Co-Create Magic. And as I mentioned, I mentored Mystics, whether you're peeking out of the spiritual closet or starting your business, to co-create their magic. If you want a budget-friendly business planner to help chart your strategy and tactics as you grow your personal brand, download the free Map and Plan Your Magical Business Guide from my website. And as a reminder, I'm launching the Mystic Makers Business Portal, everything you need to start and sustain your business. The business portal is for the spirited, courageous, creative entrepreneur who wants support building their business, even if they're not tech savvy. It's an action-based get shit done library that grants you access to everything you need to grow your business: live coaching, on-demand training, tools, templates, and more. Join the waitlist today to lock in the founder's price. You can find this and more at cocreatemagic.com. Thanks so much. Until next time, stay magical.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, Tammy.
Tammy Joyful at tammyjoyful.com. My email is tammyjoyfulguidance@gmail.com. And Harmony and I have been very grateful to be with everyone here tonight, the wonderful practitioners and everyone here. And it was wonderful to participate in all the questions and answers and everything. So thank you very much. And I have that a special offer of $40 for a 30-minute session, which is 40% off. And I do spiritual guidance, animal communication, mediumship, and whatever clearing, energy clearing and healing. So, and the ancestral stuff is special to me also. So have a great day. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you again next time.
Thanks, Tammy. DoveLight.
I'm very grateful and honored to be here in your presence. I'm very grateful and honored to share with your ancestors who come to support you, guide you, and bless you tonight. I'm very grateful and honored to be in the MeWe Fair. Thank you, Laureli. I genuinely enjoy these panels. I think this is the first time I became so open and vulnerable because I just love ancestral healing. Anyhow. I'm DoveLight from DoveLightOracle.com. There is a coupon spring for 20% off any session or reading of choice with me. You can also use it for ancestral healing or past life regression, which I also love, and so many things out there. And yes, that's it for tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, DoveLight. Kai.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kai. I'm a Hawaiian Kahuna. My specialty is removing negative energy from people, places, and things. My special tonight is I have a 20% off discount coupon for anybody who wants to look at my online book, which is Working with Your Ancestors, which is it's actually teaching you how to go to the other side the way I do it, to actually speak with your ancestors. So you can, the coupon code should be in the chat box, and then you can go ahead and take a look at that. My website is handsonfire.buzz. And on that, I also have some articles about ancestors, like what it's like to meet your ancestors, talking about ancestors who get stuck. You can find those articles on my website, again, handsonfire.buzz. And thank you for coming tonight and sharing your questions. And hopefully we said something that resonated with you and that you can take forward into your life. So thanks.
Yes, exactly. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and matchmaker. You can learn more about me at intuitiveeyereading.com and I don't have body psychology up at the moment, but yes, or matchmakingsoulmates.com. Thank you. You can learn about all of our events at MeWeFairs.com. And the upcoming online events are Saturday, we have a Metaphysics, Intuition, Energy Practice Circle. That's at 4 p.m. PT. On Monday, the 22nd, we have Navigating Our Subconscious, a panel. And Sunday, May 28th, we have our online fair coming up again. And then in June, we have a panel on self-love and self-acceptance. So thank you so much for being here, everyone, for holding space, for asking questions, allowing us to answer you. And thanks for being a space where we can explore this theme together. And thanks so much, those of you that shared in the chat about your big experiences. I appreciate you being here and sharing with us and being part of the community. Thanks, everyone.